Well, howdy, Super Robot fans. How is everyone doing today? Welcome back. My name's Austin. I hope you're all having a good Sunday evening. We're gonna get started in just a couple minutes, but I am before stream time, so we're gonna sit here and watch, which also isn't a bad thing. I am kind of curious if these opening attack montages got updated at all. Are we immediately dropping frames? Everything was just fine. It'll come back quickly because it's different, right? Do I have something else open that I'm not aware of? I guess we'll close that. Okay, looks like it was a short hiccup. I think we're okay. Okay, we're cool. That's fine. I need to not click back on the game because it'll pick us on the opening attacks. That's still the same. If you couldn't tell by the title, I'd like to have a slightly more organizational day today. We're still obviously playing the game, but I have some. Do I have internet on my phone? I do. It's just my computer that's missing something. We're on Chrome. Okay. Oh. Hold on. Let's check for updates. I think one of the reasons I was having problems before was I had not updated OBS for a while, but that's not the case. Is there maybe just a lot of traffic right now? Because it is 5 on a Sunday. Everyone's home. Okay, well, that should be fine. Howdy, good Dwarf Guy. Good to see you. The true challenge of these streams must be coming up with the titles. I mean, given how easy these missions have been, I guess that's true. This one is perhaps the greatest of stretches that I've had to make, because this should be characters delineated logically, but I want to try and maintain the format of it. I do keep I will concede I do keep a spreadsheet open on another monitor just in case I get an idea for something, or just a pun that I can use with a character and it hasn't fit into a title yet. Sometimes the inspiration comes and I just gotta roll with it. But I want to try and keep this formatting of everything being a way to interpret DLC. So at least there's we're consistent in here. How are you doing on this fine Sunday? I hope your day has been better than your Black Friday. That was, oh man, that was I said I was gonna have nightmares about it, and genuinely I did. That was awful. That was heinous. But I'm glad we could all laugh about it. But yes, my day's been going considerably better than that. How's yours been? What do we got? Okay, it's the night that it all started, the melody of battle, and the faceless. Okay. Oh yeah. We probably want to do some customization. I guess as we're past 5 o'clock now, so we can probably jump into it. People will show up as necessary. Howdy, NR151. I'm glad to see you here. Not too bad. Just finished my dailies and reinstalled Honkai Star Rail. Nice. Sad you don't have your dailies to do with me on the second screen, but I'm sure you'll have something else you can rock too. Have you since played the DLC, or are you still just as fresh with me? Oh, we already bought the ignore sizes. I guess we could buy Attacker. That's back in gacha jail. I mean, there's a reason. There's a reason why I don't have it. You finished DLC 1? Okay, cool. Sick. I will concede, I kind of thought that you had already finished the DLC when we had been streaming the other day, but technically that is FGO. Is that Fate Grand Order? You have like 5 updates? Okay, sick, okay. I do like I typically don't like games that are never finished, but I do every once in a while like having a game where I know I can just like put down for a while, come back to, and there will be some amount of consistency and familiarity where I just have like a ton of content to like get through. I think we can probably afford an attacker, but attacker EX is so insanely expensive. Not the series battle, since I am not far in the game in New Game Plus. Okay, okay. Is that the... Oh, I was thinking special battles, so whatever. Is series battle something else? Or is this just like a translation difference? Because when you said series battles at first, I thought you were talking about the special missions. Or mission, if there's not more of them. You mean special battle? Okay, okay, okay. Great, great. What was I gonna do? Right, I wanna go... I wanna at least put attacker on Common Rider. Seeing as I think he is the best of the 3, kind of, sort of, in a way. But I guess we'll start there as we jump into whatever this probably very samey content is going to be. Not see the name yet. That's fair. That's fair. It's funny because gacha never have an ending is a boon to me, but I do get it. Things having ending is important, and Star Rail is good about each arc ending feeling complete. Yeah, it's not. It's also not just about feeling like I have to have an ending. It is. I guess maybe this is the same thing, but just coming from a different angle. I know that I tend to be very completionist in mindset. So I like the ability to at least be able to put something down and go like, okay, we can move on to something else now. You know, but it's, I find it a hard time when there's like 20 of those things I need to keep track of at once, you know. The newest new takes a lot of Greek tragedy inspiration with characters, design, prophecies. That's fun. I probably have a lot of thoughts about that. I remember looking at some of the characters and going like, oh, I can like clock that there's some like parallel to some of my interests. Also, I had a weird thought today. Would the Japanese garden be the most boring part of the Vienna Palace garden for a Japanese person? I put it to you that I think, okay, on one hand, maybe yes. On the other hand, I think maybe it would be the most interesting. At least for me, I find it really fascinating to see how other countries think, that country looks like. Like if you go to Japan and you look at the quote American aisle for snacks, it's fascinating what's happening there. So I think if you're like curious enough, it would probably still be interesting to go like, what do they actually think the Japanese, like what do Japanese plants look like? What does a Japanese garden look like? It's the guy that speaks German. How could you? I couldn't tell because his name was Schwarz. Thank you. Is this the one that you said has like a terrible translation? I think I remember you saying there was like a weird translation in the previous stream. No, come on. I'm so tired of these golems. I feel like it was restored with a Japanese tourist. Interesting. Okay, so theoretically, there's going to be less of this like pseudo-interpretive work. Yeah, I guess if you're just like going for a very casual vacation and you're just like, yeah, if you're not going there to like examine the way that I try to do literally everything, then yeah, it probably would be like, oh, okay, this is familiar. Maybe it's good to have a taste of home. I don't know. At minimum, I do think it's an interesting question, though. Like, yeah, I guess if I was doing something equivalent, I would not be enthused to see whatever the quote American gardens would look like, you know? Sure. I mean, we're largely just using the DLC is, so I don't think this really matters very much. Ain't no way it's still the golems and the Dean Bells. No, it sure heck it is. But don't worry, we have a new unit. There's a new boss that will probably die just as fast. Not to be sensist with Schwarzkopf, the American soldier in the Getter media, but like he's like deliberately a parody in a way that's like he is the sarcastic version of what G Gundam does, right? He's like so aggressively upsetting that I think that's the point. All right, let's look at Schwarz, the big duo. I would not be surprised if that was the Getter. I mean, doesn't he have pretty fabulous hair? His robot does also get his hair, so I would not be surprised if that was part of the pun they were going for. Okay, he has no interesting qualities to speak of here. He just has a lot of armor, like every boss at this point. Potential, spirit, yeah, nothing. Yeah, okay, well, that's fine. Okay, so while we're doing this, I propose that we have not been organized enough with our conversations. I feel like we've been allowing ourselves to be a little sloppy, and I will blame myself for that largely, seeing as I should theoretically be leading the charge as the one who's on the microphone. So I would like to try and do that. I have some ideas how to do that. Schwarzwald is just boring, sadly. Is Schwarzwald the full name of this man? He's a legit white supremacist, which props together. I don't see a lot of anime, mecha anime, so he has that. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, he's definitely a unique character. For what it's worth, if you've not watched Mecha, if you've not watched Getter, he is not a white supremacist in a way that the show's like, yes, go do that. It is like very much intended to be, you know, you're supposed to be critical of him. Yeah, okay, so here's my thinking. This obviously doesn't work for every game, but we're all to try and find these divisions for every game. But I propose we talk about this game in 3 divisions. We have roughly been doing so already, but I think I would like to see us couch it a little bit more on that. So I say we need to talk about things in terms of before the shop, and then once we get post-shop, I'm going to divide into 2 categories. I am of the impression that if it's in the game, it's fair game, and it should be considered and used and interpreted. So in that case, it'll be like Unity looping. It'll be, you know, the way that like putting the like mats down can give you fortunes and gains to everybody, even though those aren't like quote fair mechanics. And then the other half of that, that's still part of post-shop, is trying to talk about things in terms of like not like abusing the game systems, because I think people are going to engage with it that way. Oh yeah, his name's sure is Schwarzwald up here. I missed that. But I think specifically trying to like name and put things in these terms is going to help us. Is going to help us come to a like way better consensus, because I think some of our analysis and interpretation has been like stuck behind the fact that we are like everyone who is talking is correct. It's just about different contexts. Let me get started with this with the common writer, with common double, and then I was like, why isn't this killing? It's because we're also using like one of his worst attacks. Okay. So for the DLC characters, I've not actually spent a lot of time thinking about Excel. I will concede when I was conceiving of this that I kind of forgot that Excel existed. But as far as I am concerned, I think that for the 3 primary characters, and like while we're talking about this, y'all can help me like narrow down and we can try to figure out how to put Excel into this conversation. I think the Big O is, of the 3 DLC characters, the best before the shop, then the Briger is in the middle, and then Kamen Rider is the worst of the 3 pre-shop. And then post-shop, I think Kamen Rider is the best, Briger is middle, and then the Big O is the worst. And I'll go into more details after, like, in a minute, but how can he not be daunted? Oh yeah, he's got spinning cards. Okay. So we could theoretically have Roger. Well, yeah, actually, here we can test. We can test to see if Roger's negotiator can drop his morale. Also, the OG villain here looks really classy. He does. I do like his design. He feels a little bit more like he's from a different game than this one. He doesn't feel like he fits exactly the art style of everyone else in this game. But I do like his design. I like his Kathamos. I said that last time. But I would give Briger the top spot for the DLC, since I would call the robot the most useful. Yeah. We'll I want to unpack them specifically in a second. This is probably fine. Okay, so I think ultimately none of them are doing anything that makes me feel like I want to put them on the team, though. I don't think any of them are performing any roles that we don't already have access to. So keep that in mind too, that like as we're trying to include these places, I don't think that any of them are like really standouts for any of their quote categories. Excel would be a tier below W now, since he's just a slightly worse double clone. Yeah, that is like where I would immediately say, but I'm also, the reason I'm placing double where I am is really dependent on the element of Excel that Excel's missing. Negotiator works, it does work against Spirit Endurance, okay. That's what we had figured, but I'm just happy to be able to have it on screen. What an animation. At least they ripped this sprite cleanly for the game. The other one was rough. Was he in Z also? I feel like he's gotta be. If you're fielding these, they are pure personal preference bias, but that seems to play a big part in Modern. Yeah. I do think that's... Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's ultimately where I'm still coming down on the DLC, is you're buying it because you like the characters. But it is like worth saying that, you know, and I don't think you're like fighting this. But I do think it is worth saying, it is my due diligence to note that the DLC is not giving you access to anything that you don't already otherwise have, in the way that, like, you know, there's plenty of DLC for these kind of games where you're getting units, or you're getting characters, you're getting powers that are like really just so overwhelmingly better than anything else. Wasn't there somewhere in here where they were getting like 3,000 extra credits somehow? Was that not... That surely that was Briger. I swore there was something... Oh, you know what? Was it the wolf mark? Was it a part? I remember seeing something that was like you get 3,000 extra credits and being really pleased by it. Yeah, I remember Troubleshooter was 10%. Because we checked that against the Bank of Amon check to see if that changed it. I remember specifically seeing the words 3,000. Maybe I dreamed of it. I do try to like do my organizational work about what I want to say like right before I go to bed. So, I think this is probably not a good play. He's going to get attacked too many times. We don't have enough dodge on him yet. So I guess we'll just leave this like this. I just love to say DLC in 30 felt way better. Shinkali and the Sakura Tyson units are really interesting. I was excited to see that Sakura Wars was included, because I know that's Oh, that's interesting. We finally get to see like the way that yellow units interact in these games, which is to say that they're not necessarily they're opposed to each other. 3,000 is the ace bonus of the yellow Valkyrie. Interesting. Okay. Maybe I'm misattributing it. We'll dig through stuff when I'm finished here then, I guess. If the game did, would it arguably be labeled paid to win or must buy? I feel the devs occupy an interesting gray idea. This is why I don't love DLC units for RPGs specifically. Oh yeah. No, I would absolutely call that pay to win. I don't think it's a good. I think that's just like, yeah, I think it's a problem with the DLC for all of these. Like, I think I said this last stream, but if I was just on my own, I definitely wait to buy DLCs. And I would especially for these kind of games because of that, like, that very reason. Because either it's pay to win or it's just, you know, spending money on, like, different PNGs or, like, audio tracks that you can just open up on YouTube. So I'm not sure there's like I'm not really sure there is a good way for them to have done DLC, other than giving us like a lot of interesting map design. That's not usually why people are going to be buying it. I would say if they were H units that were good, they would be more than fair. Yeah, like it's. I guess you have to draw like a really fine line. But even then, if you're playing at the highest level, like, that kind of thing could still feel very pay to win, so. Flashback to the Digimon free Mega Plus DLC Digimon. But at least that was free. Like, you can opt into that with as little or no consequences you'd like. Whereas this is like, you're spending actual money. Which Digimon game was that for? Is that the most recent one? Speaking of that, though, I did re-download Cyber Sleuths to try and finish that. Once I finish both of Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory and Survive, I might get the new game. Oh, I see. Okay, it is Time Strangers. Okay, my mistake. Yeah, I think that's the other side of the spectrum. It's the same as like the Persona 5 DLC where you buy it and you get to use all the Persona from the previous games and they're just like cracked in half. Yeah. Okay, so first, and so this is why I established this first, because I want to be able to say, like, we're gonna, oh, that's not what I want to use. Oh, I keep forgetting we're supposed to use Wall and Amachi first too. Okay, we're fine. So I want to talk about these first in the context of before we hit the shop. I want to exclusively reserve this for pre-shop because I think we need to like keep that context in mind so we don't get ourselves distracted. I'll finish up with that in a second. Hold on. Okay. All three are good for different reasons. Just do not expect a tactics game and survive. Yes, yeah. I have been told that. I appreciate you saying so. But yeah, I am playing that game more because I just like Digimon media, and it's like, it's still not a tactics game. It's like lightly a tactics game, right? It's still like grid-based movement and combat. Yeah, it's just not like really thinking. We need to get you on the Time Strangers. I do think you really enjoy Survival. Cyber Sleuth is a lot more anime and aims at things I know you will roll your eyes at. It's fair. So I am on chapter 15 in Cyber Sleuth. Like, this isn't like me starting it fresh. Like, I've played most of it. I really liked the system of, I liked the freedom to digivolve and the like team composition elements of it so much. It'd be like Fire Emblem adding a new class with DLC, but that class is Giga Broken, which 3 houses. Yeah, I was specifically thinking of 3 houses when I was saying that before. Yeah, it is like, it's definitely a hard conversation, which is why I usually fall on the side of just like, don't bother with DLC. Just like, if you have a new idea, just make sure you include it in the next game. Survive lives and dies by being a good visual novel. Okay. I appreciate you saying so I can like set my expectations correctly. which I don't mind though, because like I do like the stories of Digimon though. So like, yeah, but I will gladly follow up on that if I do get around to playing it. But yeah, okay, so yeah, so let's talk about these units first in terms of pre-shop. So the reason why I want to do this is, namely because without having the ability to customize everything, characters that are defined more specifically through base stats are going to shine a lot more. Characters that don't scale as well are going to shine a lot more. So like, while Roger does have a scaling ability in the form of his like reduced defense, right? That is percentile based, so that does scale. The amount that he is scaling changes so minimally. It's only an additive 10%. Right, he goes from 60% to 70%, like we talked about yesterday, last stream. I will mention this more when we get to post shop, but it is also scaling around a system that we can substitute once we hit post shop. So Roger has, I think, one of, if not the most defined stat blocks at that point. We can make some comparisons. I don't mind going through and like coding in some money just to like bring everybody on the team up to roughly 5 points so that we can like compare evenly against characters. Obviously, we're not going to have that pre-shop, but I think you can get like, you can basically guarantee that 4 characters are going to that 4 characters are going to have like max upgrades at that point, or like custom bonuses at that point. I guess we should also probably start using Chisei. I'll start doing that while we're doing the rest of this. Yeah, so Roger has the benefit of having just this like monumentally large stat pool of HP and defense, as far as I can tell. Like, I don't know if he's necessarily the most of the most, but pre-shop is when you're going to get the most out of that kind of effect. And that's also when Negotiator is going to have its greatest impact too. Dropping morale later matters so much less because characters that you want to have their morale drop, namely bosses, have a much easier way of regaining it because they just have like really favorable like personality growth. And like any amount that you can decrease damage in early game, like any amount of survivability you can offer in early game is meaningful. So the fact that it starts at 10, that you don't need, like that it doesn't need to scale somehow, is like just going to be inherently more valuable early on, when a 5% difference will actually make a big difference. Our perception is weird right now because a normal player obtaining these characters would be getting them at a lower level. That's a fair point. Actually, thank you for saying that. While I was trying to plan what I was going to say, I did mean to say this too at the start, that if we're going to be talking about pre-shop, that right now what I'm doing is done out of speculation, not out of assurances, because yeah, like, correct. I have access to these characters. We are looking at these characters in a context that it's not where we're talking about them. So like trying to keep that in mind is an important part of this. Thank you for saying so. You got them in chapter 4, so it was a different experience, especially since some are locked to chapter 5. Skull. Oh, is there still another character we don't have yet? I somewhat disagree with Negotiator morale down, given how you can abuse them. Do you disagree that it's useful? Do you disagree that it's not useful later, or do you disagree that it's hold on. Am I giving it too much credit pre-shop, or do you think I'm not giving it enough credit post-shop? Because when I said I was going to divide these between like abusing systems and using systems, I did have you in mind for part of that conversation. So I think I think we will probably end up agreeing in terms of the usefulness of negotiator when I'm talking about what I'm couching as like using systems. All right, we're still not done with this guy yet. Okay. But like other than that, Roger doesn't have like a whole lot going on for him. Like shield equipment is not doing very much. Like other characters have it. It's synergized with the rest of his kit, but it's just not a reason I'm picking him. While it says 3 part slots here, we also established earlier, I guess I should still include this here if we're trying to be like a thorough analysis. He actually only has 2 part slots. His third one needs to go to getting him A in the air somehow. So because it's forced, it's like kind of not there. He's admittedly using a part that no one else is using, but it is a cost. And I can't give him full credit for having 3 stats, you know. I think it's abusable post-shop support attack, I assume, since I abuse it with Jet Jaguar to get Spirit Endurance bosses morale lower. I guess, okay, so yeah, in the context of, if we are using it in the context of hitting Spirit Endurance enemies, I think there is a theoretical use case there. But if you don't mind, I will come back to that when we get to the post-shop point of it. But I appreciate you noting it now. Like, we'll definitely come back to that conversation. S adapter has competition with Jet Jaguar. I don't think it has to be the S adapter. We just have the S adapter on right now because that's like what we have the best version of it. I do think the S adapter probably has some competition other places, but there are plenty of ways to give him A in the air, and I think he needs to have one of them if you're going to use them. But yeah, like it doesn't have to be this part. It's just that this part is the one that we have fulfilling this role, and I can't like change that mid combat. You need. Oh, Chisei only has faith now, which is annoying. Also space C. I guess that's true too. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So sorry. That's true. We should correct that. Thank you for the correction. It's one of his part slots that needs to be dedicated to fixing his terrain. Because right, if he is going into space, he needs to be switched that to space. But if he's not in space, he needs to be switching that to air. But either way, he needs one of those to be switched. Okay, no, we took those off. That's fine. That wasn't the right one. That's fine. That's why I called out Jet Jaguar, since he has the same issues. Does he? I don't remember. Hold on. We just stopped using him for combat. Oh, yeah. Okay, then yeah. That's a fair comparison then. I think it matters a little bit less for Jet Jaguar. I think you can make him... Okay, here. I think it matters less for Jet Jaguar because you can make Jet Jaguar a combat unit, and he does perform combat very competently. But he also very clearly has a role outside of that, where the Big O does not. So I guess that is the one difference. Is it a cost? Yes. It's just not as bad of a cost. Yeah. Like he does have a B in space and not C in space. He's taken 1 point of his grade, an S from like here. The Big O normally has an S on the ground, and you've taken the S on the ground, taken 1 point off of that, dropping it to an A, and moved that point over to space as a B instead of a C. But yeah, I would still say Jet Jaguar has poor terrain parameters. It's just that like he doesn't need them as much as Roger does to be able to do something. None of his attacks are standing out, but all of his attacks are doing the things that they should. Like, We have some competent post-movement attacks, and his best attack is a Barrier Buster and Ignore Sai, so like we don't have a cost there. He is getting some credit for having ammo. He is also a pilot that early on has access to ammo. It takes you a minute to get the new Gundam, which I'm pretty sure has ammo. I know I didn't get it in this game, but I did get it in some other playthroughs I've done offline. So the fact that he, like, I kind of want to give him credit for having ammo slot, like having ammo uses, because those are parts that no one else is using. And like early on, the parts, I don't know this for sure because I don't know what all the part distribution drops are, because we also like played the game in an order that was not necessarily the most cogent. You get more armor parts and more, I guess we should be using the Bragger for slightly extra money. You get more armor parts and more ammo parts, if I remember correctly, early on. So the fact that Roger wants to use them, and he already, I think, is set up in a position the best out of the three to be used early on, is just like, you're sort of double dipping on quality, you know? I think Amar is very underutilized with only New Gundam and Cosmonova coming up. Yeah, I do. I mean, I think the UC characters all got really poorly treated in this game. But I can't say I'm surprised. We just have moved like really far away from. We've really moved far away from their identity anyway, because like even if you do use them, they don't even look like what Real Robot like design philosophy used to be. Not that it has to always stay the same, but you know, can we get over there? I don't think we can. The value of the Real Robot was that it was consistent, so it like let you get started while your supers were like getting up to gear. And they just don't do that anymore. Like all of them end on this like really expensive attack. They all basically look the same. It's just like flavor now. It's not even because people hate UC characters to the point people don't want them in the game. I mean, yeah, like it is oversaturated. I would rather see them not include them at all than waste their inclusion. But if they're going to be included, I would like to see them included meaningfully. But I would not be upset if we didn't have a UC Gundam in the game at all, to just save us the trouble of being like, well, it's here, but we're trying to phone it in because we don't want people to be upset. I mean, so we, like, obviously we did not use a lot of them, but the reason I was saying that they're being treated badly is because they are inherently geared around dodging, and I think it's just harder to make dodging work in these games. Like, it's way better to be, like, face tanking. And I think the numbers are tweaked just such that a lot of the other characters just get to do anything that the UC characters are doing better. Like, we tried using Char in the way we used Hayate, and it just was not working. His damage was just a little short, and his spirits were just a little bit more expensive. And I think that's like definitely docking them. It feels like it's the same problem as talking about the Dragon Ball Z fighting, the most recent Dragon Ball Z fighting games, is that like, frankly, everything, the lowest tier we can give anything is A tier, because everything works fine. It's just that like something has to be the worst, and I think the UC pilots are among them. It doesn't help the endgame UC units. Do you feel like supers with extra steps? Yeah. Do we need to get them out of a future game? Yeah. Another riveting DLC map done. It's true. Okay. Here, now that we're talking about this, we can like look at them a little bit more specifically. Okay, so we have what, 2850 armor? Can we sort by? We can sort by armor. I did not use the right button input. Actually, here's a really compelling point. Kaiser Grid Knight, a unit that we are using really defensively. The Dynazenon, one we're using really defensively, who has half over again the number of pips included, and is lower than the Big O. Admittedly, we have a defensive part on him, but it seems very easy to scale the Big O up. In terms of defenses, like the Getter Khan is a unit we used aggressively defensive, like we used it very defensively. Like over the course of the playthrough. And the Big O is like stacking up somewhat favorably. Right? We've got 400 extra armor right now. Yeah, okay, we've got 400 extra armor right now. But like it is still comparing, the Big O is still comparing pretty favorably to the more defensive units, even those that have more upgrade points. It is fascinating to me that the aerial rebuild has 2,400. I do not think of the aerial as like a defensive character, but I guess so. Right, because neither of these are defensive parts, right? Yeah, interesting. Oh, right, her custom bonus gives her 200 armor for some reason. I have to say VTX had way more fun since they had way more fun units, and then 30 or Y. Missing F95, Crossbones, Unicorn, Double Zeta causes issues for good units. Yeah. I do feel like they played it very safe in the units that they included. I'm glad that the unit that I am happiest to see that feels like the most standout is the full armored Kakushiki Kai. I don't know if it's in other games. I'm just like used to this being a just an MSV unit. So I was glad to see it here, but yeah, like otherwise it feels like pretty safe. 30 and Y have been obsessed with Char's character attacks. Yeah. We do. I mean, and like, I like that we gave Char something a little bit different to do in this, but yeah, we really keep playing the same hits. To make the Digimon reference, it sure feels like how they like using our war game over and over and over again. A 10-year ban on that IP? So you mean like the next like game or two? It's just gonna be, that's only gonna be like 2 games at the rate they're coming out. Okay, so what is the increase by? That's what, we've gone from 1970. We've gone up by 70 points, right? Is it always increased by 70 or is it percentile based? It might just always be by 70. Okay, just to like get some quick estimates. So yeah. I think the Big O, I think I've made at least a slight case that the Big O stacks up pretty favorably to most units defensively. So like that is a niche that it has, and it is a niche that not a lot of characters do early, and survivability is at a premium early on. Interesting. It's not as, oh no, Akira also has a hybrid armor on. Okay, yeah. Try a super for armor upgrade. I mean, yeah, so Raideen. The Gravelin doesn't count because you only get it post-shop. The Majin Kaiser doesn't count because you get it post-shop. The Majin Emperor doesn't count because you get it post-shop. Here, I'll think of Battler. He still has 150 points of armor over top of the Combattler. That's 9650. Actually, here, I'll just unequip this. Okay, so he's just shy in terms of HP over the Combattler. He's traded the difference in HP and armor with the Combattler. And like the combat, like, and this is what I was saying, where I was trying to propose that he was like none of these characters are like standing out that much. That the Combattler is heads and shoulders above him because they have 5 pilots. Yeah. I think the trouble is just that we looked at almost all of the supers were the characters that we picked. Like most of the characters we didn't pick were all of the reals. I guess like, is the Grand Vang a defensive unit? I feel like it is. But like, let's take a look at the DLC, the other DLC units. Is the Vang next the more... Here, because I know nothing about these games. It looks like the Grand Vang should be the more defensive one. And the Grand Vang is just matching up. Yeah, okay. But it is also falling a little bit short in HP. But right, like that's like there's like two or three units that are reaching his same level, which I think still proves the point, right? He's not literally the best, but he's like among the top echelon of defensive units. And he also comes with, like, we didn't put this on, he came with 2 default support defend. So like he does have that early niche pretty well covered. I think he probably is the most stacked in terms of the skills that he got. Like hit and run is also really good. I have not done the math on like what the cost of all these are, but yeah. Hold on, let's cut back up. I really thought we wouldn't get CCA or Armor stuff since the VA drama. Maybe I can cope for the next game focused on IBO or Age or Build Divers. I'm surprised that we don't have more Build Diver stuff. But yeah, like IBO, like getting IBO or Age in here for like real full treatment would be nice. I do agree also that the Combattler is less tanky than it used to be. I think because they wanted to try and, like, this whole game, characters are way more defined by the skills you give them or being able to use spirits. And like I've always said, spirits were like the most important part of these games, but like more so now than ever. Yeah, what is the Combattler's custom bonus? Where is the Combattler? Where is the Combattler? Here it is. It just looks smaller than I wanted it to. Oh, we already did. Okay, we did it already. Okay, that's the writing. Never mind. I'm just stupid. Oh, that's a really lame custom bonus. Yeah. I would say Grand Vang is really good. Yeah, the fact that the Grand Vang can also repair, like, right, I'm making these comparisons not because I think it compares favorably to them. I think it, like, puts it squarely, oh, it's an ace bonus? Okay, that's fine, that's okay. Yeah, we can't do that as easily. Yeah, like, I don't think it compares favorably to them, which was my point, that it, like, it fits a role, but it's not the only one that fits the role. But it does have a couple of things up on these pilots by having a lot more of these, like, default stats than the others do. Right? Like, Kyoma doesn't have support defense. Akira only has 1 point of support defense. I don't know when he learns the second one, so maybe he learns it later. But if they even learn them at all, I don't remember. Both of these two only have support attacker. So I like there's something to be said that he also gets to do a little bit that the others don't. Like I think he compares the most directly with the Getter Khan because of like the way we use support defense on him. That said, I guess Akira can do the same thing. But yeah. Spirits are so important, but so free and plentiful. It's true. No, I said this in R when they weren't nearly as oppressive, and there's so much more like backbreaking in this game. Just the fact that you get SP back, I think is also a real major problem. Yeah, what is direct attack? Is that just the name for... Surely it was still called Barrier Buster before. Yeah, what is direct attack? Custom bonuses in this game are another fall in quality. Yeah. No, they really don't do very much. When HP is below 50%, minus 20 damage taken, and plus 30 critical hit rate. Got it. Okay. Yeah, that is, and like, okay, yeah. So we can bring that up in later conversation because I would call that the minus 20% damage taken because it is percentile based is a scaling effect, which is just better than armor up. Direct attack was in the EXE system, the better system before assistant supporters. Ah, got it. Okay, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, and like so like that's what I'm saying. Like all of this is still in the context of pre-shop. All this is still in the context of pre-shop. It ignores barrier sizes and support defenses. Oh yeah, that's so much better. Right, because this is only ignoring the battler's only ignoring barriers. It's not ignoring sizes or support defense. Yeah, that's very different. Gracious. All right, I think that covers the Big O, largely speaking, for pre-shop. We don't have all of their attacks yet, so like I was going to do this a little bit more, but like this, we got to fill time. So with how creative these maps are, we've literally been on this map before too. They didn't even. It's not even that they're reusing. It's not even that we're using the same enemies. We're reusing the same maps too. Like this was a map. This was the map that we did the Dunbine L game to start. Barriers mostly stuck in modern games anyway. That's true. Yeah, like it's also like barely even that much of an upgrade because it's like reducing from the thing that matters the least. I can't wait to see the golems and the Dean Bell again. Don't you miss them? It's only been 5 minutes since last we've seen them. You must be missing them. We at least get to see these the Kamen Rider enemies again. Also, I can say that the Zonder have such bad barriers. If my experience with Galgagar is anything to go by in W, then yeah, probably. Yeah, no, we do have the road dopins again. It is literally the same ones, but I'm sure as soon as we kill these 6 of them, the gold to the Dean Bell will show back up. For sure. Okay. Also, the fact that we're using literally the same maps means we also aren't even. I was really hoping out of the DLC we would get to see like HP and energy restoring tiles to make use out of that like unused text space on the overlay. We aren't, which is so upsetting. I've never seen barriers come up in WT or 30. Yeah, they. I mean, in W, I use the barriers a lot. We just like had to force the barrier use on between the Galgagar and like us intentionally taking them away with oh, who's the purple helicopter? You know the one. That's fine. Yeah, the Zonder barrier. Yeah. I guess I'm putting these together a little bit, but we at least I feel like we at least had to take away the Zonder barrier with Bullfog, but yeah. I guess while we're here, we'll do the Kamen Rider next. So I think Double is the worst of the 3 pre-shop because the primary thing that Double is doing is A, hitting 130 morale, and that gives him a press. That's good, but if we dock Domon, if we I'm Domon's bravest little warrior, but if we're docking him because he needs to get to 120 in order to get to hyper mode, and that's a cost, getting Double to 130 is also that's also really expensive. So while the effect is good and 3 extra turns early is you would get a lot out of them. I think it's too inconsistent to get them there pre-shop. So we can't afford to give him credit, and it is the defining quality about him. So yeah, I find it hard. I find it hard for him to get I find it hard to make a lot of meaning out of him early on. Second, because the defining quality of of double is that his crit scales up better, and like all those percentile scalings, like we were just talking about with the combattler defense, are going to work way better post shop, because any percentile increases work better the more you have, right? But just to slow roll everyone in chat a little bit more, right? Critical hits do 50% of normal damage. Like, that matters more when we can get more damage. So the fact that when we were earlier on, like, we are not going to see that nearly as much. That makes much less impact. It's baffling how few all of these characters don't have extra spirit lists. It's really weird to me. I mean, Control Room Guy, maybe you can speak to this more, but it's really weird to me that we don't have, like, just green half giving us spirits and then just the black half giving us spirits. That feels so strange. In as strange as it is that, like, Dorothy isn't in the Big O. But okay, let's look at Skull. He just has a trophy. Excellent. Okay. Same problems as. Oh, I guess all of them are missing something in the air. I just didn't notice it with Kamen Rider at all. Do his weapons? Oh, because his weapons still have A in the air. Okay. Yeah, it's because their weapons still have A in the air that, like, them having nothing on the air for their terrain parameters don't matter. Oh, it's absolutely lazy? Okay, sick. Great. Good to know. Okay, we still have Kamen Rider, which makes sense because he's a Kamen Rider. Do you have a way of giving yourself extra? Okay, you do have drive. That's good. A slightly cheaper persist, and he's also an intimidate user. We got 2 intimidators out of the DLC with how few there are in the base game. That's so strange. Okay, he also has Futo's PI, so he can compare very directly. He compares really directly with double. Getting a free extra ignore size is not nothing, because like the first 2 cost very little, but like size 3 costs a good deal. I don't know what his stats look like comparatively, but I feel like we can make there's a pretty comparable comparison we can make between the 2 of them. It'll depend on what his ace bonus is for sure. I'm assuming it's probably going to be the same. But like, what? He's got 245. I don't remember what all stats he's getting from here. So it's hard to say. We're also only he's only one level higher. Yeah, it's only like 15-ish points. Yeah, Skull might just be like an actual duplicate of him that just comes a little bit later. Also, I think they really suffer from their size, even with ignore size. Max Kamen Rider's normal damage honks. Also, Skull was the worst version of ace bonus of the 3. Oh, okay, that's unfortunate. So wait, why is the damage so bad? I thought doesn't ignore size just like fully prevent that? Like why is their size that much of a detriment? Okay, we got a combo attack. I hope his Rider kick looks better. All these are post movement. These are both barrier busters. This is like too cheap to make the counter seem worthwhile to me, but he can like clean stuff up. But these being 30 is like actually like is good too. We can like actually make those energy costs, go way down. Okay. I am not upset. I think he's pretty good. Or he's good relative to what else we have. Chotoro and Philip are both fully there. Okay. They're technically one, but Chotoro hears Philip in his head and they strategize together. As evidenced by the fact that we have like green side have eyes light up, and then the black side's eyes don't light up, but it does suggest to me that there are like 2 consciousnesses there. Yeah, it does. It felt lazy to me, but like I I've already been taking it out of the DLC a lot. I just wanted to make sure we were, you know, beating it up fairly. Okay. Let's see what this new attack looks like. I don't know. I just found their damage being very unimpressive. Maybe you face a lot of small S-size units and do bonus damage. I feel like most enemies are size M. That is like definitely something that I would like need to work on, figuring out like how relevant most of these effects are. Right, because like as good as Ignore's size reads on paper, if we're only ever fighting, like if we fight, you know, 75% of enemies are medium, and 20% of them are large, and 5% of them are super large, then like how much of a difference is that actually giving us? Do our battlers are size S? Okay, okay. I'm just like not. I feel like we don't know how to notice it. Might as well explain this. Futo, the Window City, is the main city, town of W. Okay. So Futo PI is because both W and Skull are detectives. That's what that is kind of the vibe I got, and especially when they were saying that's like, Skull was the old man that like maybe trained one of them. And Excel is one of the police officers. Okay, cool. That makes sense. Thank you. That does clarify the... I was like kind of venturing. I was kind of gathering that from what was happening. Yeah. Excel's damage seems good, or seems slightly better, but still not good. I wonder if there's just some confirmation bias because he just has worse stats than Double does. And... like, I've got more Ignore size on I've got more Ignore size on my Double, but they started with Ignore size 2 on both of them. And we're looking at 5250 as opposed to 5350. So yeah, like by all told, Double should be doing slightly more. Here's a soul. Okay, that is lethal now. Melee is not lethal. Do you have an Excel? Okay, let's be really greedy. I want to see this. That's why I said seemed. Okay, that's fair. Yeah. We're like if they came off as harsh, that was not meant to be harsh. I was just like trying to like parse through it too with you. We can intimidate him too. I just want to see what his rider kick looks like so badly. Maybe got lucky and randomly got beat up slightly less tanky enemies. That's fair too. Yeah, because like as much as a lot of the numbers don't matter in terms of like getting a kill, you know, it still does. You could like still see some performance differences if you're like slightly different stats wise against enemies. Which is, I know it's like really reductive to say, like, but it's just, that's what happens when I'm trying to like make a point while also trying to like make this happen. But yeah, right? Like if we're not like deliberately testing against exactly the same or like as close to the same as possible, it could be very easy to like have a small confounding variable that, you know, is making the bias happen. Wait, so why did we... What was that? What was that weird, like, purple light dimension? Skull's Rider's Kick, is cool. I will judge this game heavily. Good, let's go for it. This is pretty sick looking. Okay, I mean, he's a rider and he did do a kick, but that's not usually what I think of rider kick. I mean, that skull is really cool. I see the vision, but I feel like shouldn't he be like riding that skull down? Oh, is it 1-to-1? Okay. Cool. 20% final hit rate. Okay. And activate Zeal, which is probably Soul. Okay. And I got the pose, so yeah, points. Okay. Well, you know what? The DLC can't be always all wrong. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think it was it wasn't flashy enough as much as I would have liked, but like, I wasn't expecting so with the like low quality CG we've been getting. But at least a little bit more interested in how accurate it was to what it looked like. Okay, this is hit rate, dodge rate, and crit rate. I think I like Excel's ace bonus the best. You said you really liked Skull's ace bonus, but I feel like the final hit rate matters the least. I feel like it's the easiest to be able to get them to have max hit, especially when he's got bullseye early on. Like, that's doing something that the stats were already doing, or his spirits were already doing. This was 2009, I believe. Me more modern to warriors have flashier rider kicks. Wait, this series was from 2009? Am I misunderstanding? W in general is pretty plain besides W double splitting up for a kick, which this game doesn't nail. Yeah. Right, yeah, like I do think that's like really dependent on the double element of his character. That's like so close. I need to like boost them up a little bit more. I said Skull was the worst. I think double is best. Okay. My mistake. I remembered incorrect. I'm glad I asked then. Yeah, and like the fact that we already kind of want to, we are already incentivized to be evading with them. Is why I was thinking that double was doubles was better, but it feels a little bit redundant with all of the other ways they're giving him to dodge. Whereas at least like while we can smash, Excel doesn't have it natively, and I feel like I feel like, and I don't know if this is accurate too. So like I'm also saying this as like an I feel statement. That crit rate comes at more of a premium. I feel like we had a harder time getting it on Common Rider than I feel like we had a harder time getting it on double than getting him to like dodge. Like we didn't have to try to make him dodge, and he did. Yeah, Kamen Rider Double came out in 2009. The anime manga was like 2017. I did not realize that. I thought it was way more recent than that. Fascinating. Giving them Zeal as an ace bonus does trigger me and make them feel very lazy and generic, although my bar could be too high. Well, for what it's worth, remember, they don't actually have Zeal. This is Soul, not Zeal. But yeah, I am, any time that we're getting free spirits as the like defining quality about them, I do find pretty underwhelming. I think doubling down on strength, it was hard in T's DLC to get good dodge rate. Yeah, we're like, I think I hear what you were saying. I do think I see the want to, like, it feels like the game is regularly trying to correct for mistakes that it made in previous games, or not mistakes, just like changes it made in other games, which is why we have like holdover parts from the past that don't necessarily work here. And I'd rather a character be more specialized than try to be more diverse, but there's also a point where that specialization is just like where that specialization is just like dipping into what the rest of his kit is already doing, where it's just not necessary. Like, I think it matches fine the, like, not world building, like how these effects are supposed to be incorporated with their character design. But I'm not, like, I don't feel like we need that. Yeah, especially for reals and units like Kamen Rider, who I don't think should be powerhouses or critting. Yeah, I don't dislike the idea that Kamen Riders are like doing crit stuff, like knowing literally nothing about them. Not nothing, knowing very little about them. I don't hate the idea, but yeah, I think there's like way more interesting things that they could have done. I don't know how you could have done this in a way that was like fair Yeah, I don't know what this would have looked like, but also we should be using the Brager just to get some extra money. But I really like the idea of something that, like, when they dodge, do an effect, seeing as we're already supposed to be trying to make them dodge. Like, that seems good to me. That seems at least, like, intelligent and around their design, rather than this that's, like, still trying to render them all towards the middle, you know? T on the hardest difficulty had so many trash mobs with perfect accuracy. On Rails, it was really annoying. So much extra sight and AC mods. But I think that's, like, also... This is also why I was saying that, like, UC was done pretty dirty, is that, like, the games just really aren't interested in being about reels. Which I think is a shame. Let me see this guy. Like, Tekkaman to me are handled in W, but I get a different era, sadly. Yeah, it's also like a different studio too. Yeah. But yeah, okay, so I think a lot of the spirits we were using off of Double are also coming later into his kit. So if we're talking about pre-shop, we don't have access to them. Like Focus and Intuition are good. I don't really want to be spending analyzes on him. We already have good analyzers. But like we're using Smash and Drive and Soul a lot, and these aren't showing up probably before the shop. So like there's nothing really stand out here. Focus is helping him reach that dodge chance, but there's such a high liability. Yeah, I feel like there's such like a high liability of getting them killed because of how low their HP is, and when you don't have all of the tools to like yet customize them into being able to be like perfect dodging. Yeah, I guess that's it. It's also really hard. They want to be dodging everything. They can't take hits consistently, and like even a stray hit might just like one-shot them. So lacking consistent tools to make that happen is really penalizing. And if you're trying to use multiple reels, there's such a small pool of parts that let you change that. Like for instance, that one, there's the one part that, there's a couple of them that let you like, if you have this % dodge rate, it actually counts as a 0. You still dodge when you have 30% chance to get hit. Or 20 or 10, whatever the number you want to equip as. Those parts are really, really hard to get access to. So, you know, the thing that would make them good is harder to get. So it's harder to make them survivable. Volteca was outside of that, and outside of Blade, I feel like it's varied. Yeah, I don't remember much of what Dagger was doing yet, but like on just straight vibes without having like put the numbers together, it does feel a little different to me. Kamen Rider here, this Kamen Rider versus what we've been doing with Blade in W. But I could also be willing to attribute that. I would be very willing to attribute that to that, like, we're seeing Kamen Rider at, like, full kit, where we're seeing Blade still at, like, 1/3 complete, you know? We can also drive. Do you have a barrier? Can we just pierce this to, like, get this over with a little bit? No? Okay. Yeah, and so and because like the 20% evade rate, I think is just throwing it on top of. I don't think it's multiplying. That's at least good, like at any stage of the game. But the crit chance, so he increases crit chance, but like percentile increases only matter when you have bigger stats, which should be obvious, but like it's worth saying. So if we already aren't doing a lot of damage because we are early game, increasing that by a factor that is not that big. Like 25% is, I guess, 25% is relatively big in these games. But you're probably, but like his damage is scaled lower to match the fact it's going to scale up higher when you get into late game. That he's maybe, if he's critting, getting to the same damage thresholds as the big damage dealers would already be doing. But I think the biggest thing is just the liability of how easy it is to just lose them out of nowhere. Yeah. Maybe I just want like a higher morale threshold for the damage. I think that also might just look like that because we are at a point where we don't have to like think about costs of things. Like, genuinely couldn't tell you if any of the I couldn't tell you if any of the common riders, oh my word, I couldn't tell you if any of the common riders have morale costs to anything that they're doing, because we can just like ignore that. So like maybe it would feel a little bit more like that if we like watched them from the beginning, you know? They were varied, but I would call them normal, non-Volteca damage, still good. Not top tier, but still good. Also, we're saying they. That makes me curious that we're going to get other... not common riders now. Gracious, I'm having a struggle. Tekka men. But I don't even know. We'll find out. I feel like the aura battles are marked by having really long-term escalations of damage that, you know, you need like high levels to build them up as their aura power gets bigger. Am I like mistaken how aura battlers work? In T, the only good reels in the end were the new types because they got enough boosts. I agree on that. I just agree with them not being good damage dealers, but I do not know Kamen Rider to begin with. I think just design philosophy changed and everything has to do insane damage. Even aura battlers have been steadily doing more since like VXT, which is also funny because I feel like they do comparatively I feel like do so little in this game that like, because their buffs are just linear, they're just like adding like 50 extra damage with each stat of it, compared to the other ones that have percentile scaling. Hard-boiled hat. Let's see what it does. Great, we only have Chisei up to... Okay. You can see that I feel focus on good trash mob kills that rely on survivability is just not there, and trash mobs just get way too tanky. Yeah, I like maybe the common riders are also just like way more like, obviously every character is more usable the easier difficulty you go, but I think maybe they have one of the biggest improvements as we go down in difficulty. In comparison, there are 9,000 HP enemies on W's final map. we ran out of like 9,000. Oh man, yeah, the numbers are just so inflated in this game. They have plus 20% if aced. Do they? Okay. I feel like we aced them. Hold on, let's look at them quick then. Oh, okay, yeah. They're getting 10% extra damage from what they normally do, which is still like, yeah, it is a 20% damage increase. Yeah, but like, yeah, maybe I just didn't invest into them enough. That is interesting. Yeah, like here's where like my maybe like very deep bias is showing, where I did feel like we just sort of stopped using them because they just like were not outputting enough damage. But maybe that's because the characters I was comparing them to at the time had scaled by level really hard otherwise. So like that was like artificially inflating the difference, you know? hard-boiled hat for our hard-boiled detectives. We can put it on Skull in a minute. Or battle or damage is fine, just not top tiers. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like, I think in any of this, I'm not like assuming that they're going to be like jumping in ranks, but I have so far been largely pretty disappointed with Aura Battler and New Type in terms of the damage increase they were getting. It just did not feel like it was enough. They're great for trash mobs, not just bosses. Maybe that's it. Maybe because like once we get past the shop, it just like doesn't matter. What the it just doesn't matter about like the generics. So maybe I was like just comparing them to the clears on bosses. So like, yeah, if they're not good at boss killing, then maybe that's fine. They do go bosses with 20k HP. They just cap out at about 30k, which in the end is not enough. Yeah, and we're seeing plenty of bosses with like 50 and 60, or at least like vaguely in my mind, I feel like that's true. Sure, that will probably fix that problem. And then next time we can custom bonus Skull. Also, let me put the Prana Converter on the Briger too. Okay, first, let's give you your hat. Use with the parts command to give the main pilot 10 morale and 30 SP. I feel like that comes too late for that to be good. It's cute, but yeah. You'll die on the hill that Super War Games having the shop was the beginning of the end. It does kind of feel like it. I really valued a lot of characters had way more definition when you had to commit to the identity that the game was already giving you. I don't dislike the idea of what was I going to look for in the meantime? I don't dislike the idea of I remembered having things that we can like put on characters to customize them, right? Like I like dropping skills. I like dropping I like dropping upgrades we can give to characters, but just being able to buy them, I think is, yeah, I so far from my experience would say I would agree. It's not been to the better. Yeah, I want Prana Converter. Yeah. Okay. Just so we can we'll start using the Briger a little bit more for that extra cash. All the games where you get skills or items from enemies or map clears, the balance is so much better. Yeah, like if you want to give me like really potent stuff, yeah, like give it to me based off of objective, right? That I have to do certain, like make those tied to the SR points, you know. The minute you can make your favorite MCOP the die with, yeah, we did cross the proverbial Mecca Rubicon. I do think purchasable skills are fine, but parts are just too much. Also, having skill cost money is also bad. Okay, yeah, so I still think purchasing skills is not the play. I think it makes characters way too samey. I think I've said this before, that if each character had a specific smaller pool of skills they could purchase into, not that everyone could buy everything, but I also I don't think that also has to be literally the only way a shop works, though. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? No, actually, hold on. Let me stop and think about this for a second, because at least part slots take up slots where skills don't actually take up any room. They're more expensive, sure, but they don't actually take up any room. When any unit can become anything, I quickly get bored and the unit identity becomes in danger. Yeah. That's why we keep referring to it as purchasing PNGs, right? Because like literally any of these characters could one-shot anything at this point. So it just matters like what flavor of attack you want, or like what art you want on the map of it. The bigger issue that a lot of characters just have the Baron skill list that does little for them. Like in W and J, you get anything you need out of hit and run. Yeah, I having not finished W yet, I will still reserve my interpretations by it. I do hear you. Okay. A Valor feels like a waste, so I guess let's do this. This feels a little bit less wasteful. How much money do we get out of this? 7K. That's not bad out of a kill. Characters do seem to have less and less skills in modern games, which is pretty unforgivable. Yeah. Like, how many times did I say over the course of this that I was... Oh, okay. That's fine. At least this has a different objective. How many times did I say in this that I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're going to get it when they level up? And the answer has always just been like, no. Power points, tack points are good. Again, OG having 8 slots with power points gives you a lot of different characters. Yeah, right. Yeah, like just yeah, like the way I propose doesn't have to be that way, but there's like some way to limit how we are customizing our characters. I am definitely coming at this partially from board games where this is like the MO, but that limitation breeds creativity is like definitely the phrase. So I think just having a limit somehow. Original Generations and Alpha Portable are tied for what we need you to play. Yeah, I mean, don't you worry, we'll get there. We will get there. Yeah, like we can knock that up to W afterwards. But actually, that's one of the things I want to talk about today. Once we get through all this like character analysis, we can start like planning the future. Yeah. Also, I hate that they give you the full list of level skills and actually let the skills. I hate that they give you the full level of level skills. Actually, let the skills grow. Oh, yes, yeah. I was putting emphasis in the wrong place. Yeah, it does feel like, yeah, like I do want to see this build up over the course of a game, such that I can talk about like hitting different like benchmarks or thresholds for characters. OG1 ran into was most DPS units you just buy attack or SP regen. There was, yeah. I mean, yeah, like, but that's why I'm still onto this, like, maybe. Yeah, I do still generally think that skills are the bigger problem than parts. Like the only growable skills now are variations of typing commander. Yeah, it's very straightforward. It's like all of it's just very simplified. OG having stable skills is not inherently bad since they are expensive. I mean, I think with enough competency, you will always find a way to be able to play around those costs. And it's not like it's not like you need everyone to be able to do all of those things. Like, you only need 2 or 3 broken characters to like still have the game ruined. And if you can break any set of 2 or 3 characters, like, that still ends up being, you know, the same problem still happens. But this is also like, also part of the reason why I wanted to make the channel, is that like, all of this is in the abstract, and also all of it's being compared like directly two other games in the series where like I think at least for me to be able to make a cogent answer about it, I need the context of whatever's happening in that game too. In any game, there will be staple skills like, oh yeah, if it sounds like my concern is over the fact that there are skills that are staples, it is not that. I don't think there's a problem with staples because yeah, like no matter what you remove, you are always going to have something that ends up being the best version of it. It's just when don't we have? Oh, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's just when staples win you the game on their own. Like if staples are a small amount of like quality control to like make sure characters are hitting, you know, like basic requirements. You know, like the ability to help guard, or we ran out of energy. Like saving energy, saving ammo, like those kind of things. Or yeah, like P defeat. Like P defeat I think is fine. Yeah. The problem is OG is pretty good about not giving you potentially game-breaking units until midway through or the back. You're using units like dispensed. That's fair, yeah, which is like also, I definitely said, oh, they reorganized my characters a lot. I definitely said I wanted to potentially, I wanted the potential to try, probably just a better view. OG, where I just was using like the airplanes because like they seem pretty like not mechanically good units. Like that feels like it's gonna be way more fun. Yeah, y'all do have me pretty convinced that I'm going to like the OG games. I feel like that might be what we're doing next on stream once we finish with W. Yeah, we'll say. But like that said, I think Fire Emblem has this problem too, where people call it like skill emblem, which is why I wanted to bring this up because like I'm just familiar with that phrase. That I also really liked the games. I also did not mind the games when there were just very, very few skills or abilities involved, and a lot more of it was just like internal to character identity. But I don't think that means skills have to be bad. I think there was a way to make it where it does work, but I don't think this is it. Yeah, okay, yeah. I remember talking about Sniper Grungus before. I do wish these games. I see what you're saying, Control Room Guy, about like swappable pilots. I do wish these games like cared more about the fact that you can swap characters. Like I tried so hard out of R to think about how that was going to happen. Like, do they matter? And just like so often the answer was just no, they don't, which is dumb and boring. Oh, it's like, okay, we do the bright cannon now. Okay, so our I figured we were going to, seeing as our range stat, like we were given a range stat for the ace bonus, which would be weird if we didn't, like, get a gun. But okay, let's see what this looks like. The planes are good niche units with the repair resupply modules. Yeah. Yeah, and like I don't think the games are devoid of swappability, but in the same way that like we've reduced a lot of complexity by like taking out the ability to change form, the ability to like separate units out, like separate units into parts. I think just the changes make such a little difference now because so much of the unit, so much of the character identity, the pilot identity is tied to the skills you can buy, and the unit identity is tied to just like large number at the top. That like while you can change, it probably ends up not being that big a deal. That's good. That was cute. OG would be a great choice, both W. Okay, sick. And that also commits us for a while too, because I can just say we just like do all of the OG stuff. I guess we still need to figure out like what order we want to do it in. But like the Genius Pilot who lacks new type can be used in Crossbones Gundam, for example, or how you use certain other pilots. Yeah, right. Like that kind of small nuance and changes exactly what I'm looking for. OG is also a 2-for-1 since 1 and 2 remake and both on one disc. Oh yeah, right. OG is not the same as OGs. OGs is the first two. At some point, we probably won't do them like right back to back, but I suspect because of how my brain is, OG1 and the OG1 of OGs are probably going to count as different games to me because there probably are going to be mechanical differences. But oh, and they're also on GBA and PS2. Oh boy, okay. So in fact, there's actually going to be probably a lot of differences then. What was it? Okay, yeah. We need to. Okay, I gotta say, while we're here, also I used too many of those. I think this is the first stage that I would call good out of the DLC. Like, let's pause a minute to reflect on the fact that we actually have like a decent stage. Is it the best stage? No, but I think it will depend a little bit based on when you're getting it. But there are enough units that are coming at you that are also spread out far enough. Like this is 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns, 4 turns, probably somewhere in there, that you have like very clear lines of like when enemies are going to be crossing over this threshold. That like, it is one note. It is for sure one note, but it is a note that I like. Like I think this is a good amount of pressure, and like they aren't stopping for us, right? They are like pushing the objective, which is good and refreshing. Yeah. But the PS2 one is much better and recommended experience, ignoring animations and voice acting changes. Okay, that's good to know. The 1 and 2 on GBA are separate games. Okay. OGs uses the same system. Oh yeah. I assumed that they were probably going to be roughly mechanically similar, but like enemy placement, character placement, like when characters are getting skills or like small details like that, I am still interested in trying to interrogate as like separate entities. We don't have, yeah. We're not set up to like make them go infinite with press, but you could do it. PS2 version is so much better since they removed stupid jank too. Well, okay, but is the jank fun? Because I feel like so far, at our 151, we have somewhat disagreed on what kind of jank we like. Where, like, I don't know, I kind of like stupid jank sometimes. The proto-twin system is a bit broken, and the HP thresholds are not changed accordingly. Oh, in the GBA ones, do you have access to the ability to like put your groups together? Or put groups of characters together? Because still to this day, I have not played a game where that was how that worked. Where we got to do that yet. So I'm looking forward to trying one of those. Twin system is a thing, yes? Okay, cool. You make pairs at a high enough morale. Oh, interesting. Okay, so you can't, like, I'm pretty sure in other games, you just, like, get to deploy them in pairs by default. Where this, you gotta wait for it. That's, like, kind of still relying on the... I guess you said it's morale, not on limit. I was thinking it was going to be similar to how the old... double turn system is, like in alpha, for instance, or what I'm assuming will be in alpha. Also, can we do this cheaper? Or we can do this much cheaper. If unit learns a skill through level up, you cannot upgrade it to max. You can just buy a useless second instance. That's interesting. That does, I definitely would describe that as jank. Okay. I mean, still at the very least, that's like convincing me that I would like to render them as different games. But I'm also going to like, I'll play the thing that people want to watch first. One time was the morale, second OG made it just a thing for normal deployment. Yeah, that's the part I remember. I remember seeing somewhere, probably in like a like clip of the game, being able to do it like immediately. Technically, OG play order is OG 1, 2, then OG Gaiden, second OG, then Moon Dwellers. Okay. Why have you emphasized the word technically like that? Is there, did I suggest that I was going to do it in a different order than that? Because like, I'll do it in that order. Then it gets weird because Masao Kishin is between these games. I say, okay. Not including the titles like Endless Frontier, Exceed, and Project X Zone, which I suspect I probably won't play on this channel, or if we do, that'll be the like non-super stream. But they have never really interested me in the same way these games have. I suppose if y'all like twist my arm hard enough. But as much as I was giving like credit to this stage, I will acknowledge that I'm doing this in the most boring way possible. But Masao Kishin gets dumb and not fun level, not a fun level of challenge. Okay. I mean, is it as dumb as Fantasy Maiden Wars was the other day? The first is SNES, DS1, then 3 on the PS Vita. Okay, okay. And the second OG has a story DLC called... Yes, I know, I have Dark Prison as like a holy grail of like content trying to get. I'm pretty sure it's like just like I would have to buy someone's hardware that had it downloaded onto it at this point to like get a hard copy of it, right? That's like the kind of like difficulty we're talking about. But I do know that Endless Frontier, Exceed, and Project X Zone are like part of the like continuity. It's just aren't they not tactics? They're like not tactics games, right? Or you go for the other option. Oh, I mean, I for sure already have access to the other option, but there is an amount, there's like part of me that also wants to have all of them in hard copy also. It's not an immediate goal, like it's very much a long-term kind of goal, but it's like at least I'm keeping in the back of my mind that if I see it for like sale somewhere. Oh, you're just saying Masao Kishin. Oh yeah, no, I do. Sorry, when I was saying I'm not interested, I was just the Endless Frontier, Exceed, and Project X Zone. The Masao Kishin are like absolutely on my list, 100% on my list. MK3 is famous for how hard it is. Okay. I read once that the devs allegedly admitted that they made it pay to win, where they intentionally balanced the game. Cool. Okay. Very fun. Very nice of them. You have to have all the paid DLC stages, which gives you extra money and equip parts. Yeah, I mean, that's disappointing. I'm glad. Is that better or worse than what we're doing right now, though? That at least, okay, but to me, that just says that we have work that we can lab out somewhere, right? Like that does mean like that does make me want to try to challenge and figure out how to not have that be the case. Not that I don't trust you, just I want to resist. Also in the gameplay, I have seen Masao Kishin gets really stupid with damage numbers. Okay. So, I mean, I have said a couple of times that, like, I might need more games to play on my own. maybe the Masao Kishin games are the kind of thing that I play on my own first, and then like my second playthrough is on stream, so that we can like get a better, like I can sort of go into it knowing what we want to do. The wild part is that, let's just talk about this for a second so I can read. The wild part is that the DLC missions aren't just cakewalks like they are in VXD. They're all either long, like 8 to 10 turn battles with weak preset units or extremely number crunchy puzzle maps. I argue worse it is impending my story progress. I mean, that's probably also the thing. Yeah, that's probably the kind of thing I would enjoy sitting back, but I probably wouldn't want to do it. Like the ones in J. Okay. Oh yeah, I guess I could be using those too. That's fine. I mean, like, I'm not trying to like clear this map really well. There's like so many better ways we could be doing this. I just don't feel like we need to. MK games would be fun solo games, and you can update as progressively. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Here, I've used Pierce. Jay has some fun puzzle battles. I really liked the puzzles that were in D. I know those were probably like a little bit more self-contained, but I really liked the puzzles that were in D. Those were fun. So yeah, how do these comparative puzzle battles stack up with D? I do really like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel puzzles. Those are a lot of fun. Oh yeah, speaking of updates, I have at your suggestion, I have been playing. Oh, what is it Rescue Rabbit? Whatever the name of the first format of XEs has been. And at first I was not enjoying it, but after a little bit of time, I've grown an appreciation for it. It took me a little bit to like figure out what staples looked like to then like start figuring out how to we're out of energy. It took me a second to like figure out what staples were, to like figure out how I could like build around and not have to use them, you know? Oh man, you have 30 MK games. What fun solo games we have left for you. Yeah. And then I'm gonna come back and be like, guys, this is incredible. What have you not heard of these games? Like I'm really kind of hoping that I just end up loving Masao Kishin, so that I can like finally give like a good expression of my like self-inflicted sadism. Oh right, we also still need to do all this with Chisei to like get her leveled up. Do you have a trick? You do. That's good. Right, because like clearly I'm just like throwing stuff around. Like clearly I'm not worried about the efficiency of this. Okay, let me do a good chunk of Chisei's stuff now. So I want to make sure we get that in so we can actually get her presses. I mean, Impact has like 100 stages, maybe that should be the solo games too. That's fair. Someone did, I don't remember who it was. Someone had come on stream asking us about Impact, and I was like, oh, I'm determined to figure out how to speed it up. I can't even get the darn thing to run still. Like, I followed all of the PSSX2 recommendations, and like, I still can't get the thing to like do anything other than crash immediately. I think I have been getting some like, I've definitely been getting some like specific feedback when I've been playing like online games. Like if I'm playing Warframe, this happens regularly where it will just crash and tell me that I've got faulty RAM. So I need to get a RAM analyzer and see if I can see if something is going on there, because it could just be that my RAM is faulty, which also might be helping with like Steam or Stream not working really well. People really hype the Z games, but you're not really interested because you can't read them. That's fair. Yeah, I get that, you know, engaging with the story is an important part for people. Oh, no one's hurt, so we can actually use her very much. That's I will probably end up playing Z on stream. I think we've talked about them enough. I think that's what we're doing after Alpha. Yeah. I mean, the fact that most people don't like MK for its damage numbers and number crunching does mean that it's more likely that you're gonna have fun with it. Probably. If someone doesn't like it, odds are I probably do. It's just how it goes. Okay, we're gonna intentionally take damage with the Bragger to boost Chisei. The Z games IMO have good cast, and the gameplay varies widely between the 4 games. I really like the story of Z2. I mean, yeah, like you've definitely talked the Z games up enough that I'm like definitely some amount of interested about them. I do remember I was like really stubborn about it. I do remember you saying when I was trying to be like, oh no, I'm sure we can find a way to speed it up. That Impact is like terribly emulated. This is Compact. Compact is fun. It's just getting into the run as a challenge and has a unique aspect of rewarding you for how fast you clear with different skills. Yeah, I probably am also going to wait to play Impact until I play all of the Compacts separately, just because I want to be able to make the comparison as to like how and why they've decided to put it together, you know? I actually own 2 of the Masao Kishin games and 1 of the Z games. Maybe I should learn Japanese. I highly recommend it. While it is, I would say, probably technically the hardest language, it is the only language in my mind that requires you to also just know a second language at the same time. It's definitely manageable if you want to set out to do it. No, we need to go out 2 menus. Let's see what... We're also going to do this a little sloppily, but that's fine. Let's see what Skull can do. Plus 2 move, plus 30 mobility. All weapons have 200 attack power. So did we trade... Okay, yeah. So we got 1 move and lost 10 mobility and 100 attack power. Okay. Yeah, so he kind of ends up like being balanced out by the fact that we just have like almost the worst pool of stats from custom bonuses. No, that's not true. He's like right. She's actually right in the middle. He's actually right in the middle of it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do think. These games generally tend to be pretty... A lot of the knowledge about them is pretty transferable, right? So if you have some amount of it down, you can pretty easily convert that knowledge over. With the caveat being knowing that like generational amounts of like that these games are somewhat generational, right? Where if you are unfamiliar, if you're not used to limit and reaction, like you'll need to like relearn that, or if you're not used to like pairing up, I'm assuming that's probably going to require some amount of like learning curve to it. I mean, it's a joke that German is a difficult language too. I mean, yeah, no, for sure German is a difficult language. I just the trouble that I kept running into with a lot of my Japanese learning, as if I'm like done, like this is still a problem I run into, is that every once in a while Japanese just expects you to know the Chinese word and just doesn't tell you in any way that you're expected to know Chinese somewhere in the middle here. Is definitely a really big hurdle. And like, obviously you can look it up, but it's also inherently just going to be easier to work with if you just like have that kind of knowledge in mind. Where at least from what I understand about like language family trees, most Germanic, like when you learn one Germanic language, you kind of have the ability to work with the vast majority of the other Germanic languages pretty easily, where Japanese like also doesn't. There's not an easy like close approximate that you can grab like for using the same skills too. From what I understand, when I was living there, I was attending Kansai Gaidai. Kansai Gaidai, if you are unfamiliar, is a we had so many units. Okay, is the international campus. So both if you want to study abroad in Japan, odds are that's where you are going. But if a Japanese person wants to study abroad, that's also where they are going to go. And the vast majority of language learners the vast majority of foreign language learners who are natively Japanese learn Spanish. There's a lot of overlaps between Japanese and Spanish, not because of language family tree, just like through, not coincidence, but just through overlap of how the language goes. I was kind of hoping we were gonna get to see that Top Hat man again. I didn't look at his portrait. We'll look at his portrait a little bit more later. But I guess if you already have Japanese under your belt, you know, you might have an easier in than you know. Do we not have the other common writer here? Oh, he's so hard to see sometimes because of how small he is. And if we don't, like, presumably he'll just show up later in the stage. Okay, yeah, we don't. That's fine. Okay. I mean, I tried K once and stopped getting a game over with no idea why. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. At least for, like, the game over purposes, Akarasu does have all of the, like, conditions translated really well. Plus, most Super Bar games at this point have a menu patch. That is also true. Where, like, no, I mean no ill will to the people who have worked on the R1. Just, like, unsurprisingly, because of my alarmingly encyclopedic knowledge of R, the R patch is, I would say, like, actively harmful. It mistranslates things in a way where you are going to do things incorrectly because of what it's been labeled as. I appreciate the effort, and, like, for all I know, it might be different now, but at least when I was playing R, there was information that was, like, woefully mistranslated. You're playing K on original hardware. Well, that does make it a little bit hard to get a translation patch, but at the very least, you could still, like, pop open Akarasu to give it a read if you'd want to for, like, stage objectives. I guess we should also do this. Downside of Akarasu is that it can flashbang spoilers. That's true. That is true. I mean, like, you're never going to hear me complain saying, oh, like, find material elsewhere. Also, not just because that, like, not because I assume you're going to come to me, but I think it is a good resource. I would just like to see the community not view it quite so monolithically. You know. Again, I bear it no ill will. I think it's a great resource. I guess that also that does also is definitely a confounding element if you just don't know them. If you didn't know of them at that time. I believe K does have a menu patch and now an ongoing line-by-line translation. Oh yeah. What is the there's one person who's been playing a lot of Super Bars games by, like, text. What is he working on now? I remember he started one right around, like, the middle of when we were doing Y. I guess we probably should have been a higher spirit to, like, actually get the rest of our defensive properties going. Finding Fantasy Maiden Wars on that site is a nightmare. Yeah, because it's just called something different. Yeah. He did D, R, and now he... Oh, and he is on K? Okay. That is the same thing we were talking about. Um... 7,000 from every kill is still really good. Like, it is still the same as before. I don't know why it wouldn't be, seeing as we're still just killing the same 3 enemies, but... Um, I gotta say though, it is like so hard to feel like it's worthwhile to grind in these games, seeing as it's on the computer, where it's like I don't know. I feel like I got more important things to do with my time. This feels like really easy to just like accidentally open up some code and then just call it a day, you know? Kitsune Ragnell on SA or just Googling any of these games and LP will bring them up. Yeah. Okay, we'll Unity him. Or not him, but we'll here the second him. The second is just so dominant that like when I think of using assist and Unity about it, like the thing that I think of is just using the second. It's so silly. Here, I don't know, we'll just stab something. Sure. What's our objective? Yeah, just okay. The fact that Kamen Rider isn't listed is I figured he was probably gonna show up later. But Unity was a mistake with EXE. It took until X to introduce Resolve. Yeah, I 100% agree. I think the idea of a spirit giving assist seems really fun in concept, but yeah, it's just way too easy to abuse. Speaking of, to return to some unit analysis. Oh, okay, here, what is game balance? Yeah, exactly. His face looks like, is it Great General of Darkness? The Mazinger enemy, the Mazinger villain that's just like a ball of fire. I'm assuming he probably combined with his cats. You're gonna break our spirit. Correct, kid. You're gonna break our spirit by making us exhausted by fighting literally the same thing. Are we also gonna get a rune golem at the end of this? That would be very funny if all of us also just led up to getting one of them. Do we get Schwarz? I feel like we're leading up to like getting something out of this. Oh, yeah, the like nice polite lady is the villain, of course. Yeah. That's Emperor of Hell. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. Great General of Darkness is the like ogre-looking one. And he did not fuse with his cat. That's just his real face. Oh, okay, fun. Will we at least concede that his real face looks like the design of his cat? Yeah, I'm also like making this way slower by just like only half investing into these characters, where like this would be way faster if we had like any energy cost downs. Also, Leah was evil. I would prefer if they put more hints towards her nature. I don't know. I feel like maybe because I played the Engage DLC. I guess spoilers, but whenever we have these like one-off characters that get introduced with these like really small bits, I just sort of assume that they are going to be malicious. Because like we can't keep them as allies, because then we need to like try to incorporate them in the rest of the story. Otherwise, it feels weird that they're just like sitting there, friends, and not doing anything. We need to like find a way to like shuffle them out of the story then, because we like have to kill them because they turned evil. It does, but it's important to note that he's not using the cat. Okay. Is it because the cat's going to be the final boss then? Or is that, are they like inside attached to related to Leah right now, maybe? I mean, it's whatever. It's about reading the story, but okay. Oh, we probably also should have used drive when that one time we got attacked. That's fine. Joker Extreme. Right, because we didn't have the turn on yet. No, the cat is the stinger. Like the thing that shows up before a TV show stinger? Yo, also, okay, hold on. Because I'm in this position right now. Every other time I've seen the O, it has a map attack. Why does it not have a map attack here? We need to resupply. Such a rarity that we don't actually have 100% hit on things. Okay. That's like close enough for now. Oh, I didn't realize I was killing him. Okay, that's fine. This is why I get for not paying attention to the map. I feel like we had so much health. I'll go back and see why that killed us. Hold on, I'll look at that in a second. I'll just get all these in first. I would just like to note that I would still put proper hints in the text. I figured there's something with your... Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, like... If you're telling me that the game, the DLC that does not have, like, the greatest, like, gameplay integration also... Oh, I know why he's so low, because we never put his part back on. We took his part off to, like, give him a minute to, like, analyze him. We never put it back on. That's why. That the game that does like not contextualize its maps well, or like its character introduction well, also does not like contextualize its story moments well. Sure. This should be doable with a Valor. Okay, so while we're doing this again, we've just not talked about the Bragger in terms of non-shop. So I still have the Bragger in the middle for both cases because it has nothing that scales, but it has just an all-right block of stats. Like, it has some defense, it has some mobility, and it has just like a monumental pool of spirits, which does give it like a lot of usability. That usability is really determined by like really fixed amounts though, because we have like no skills, no abilities, nothing that like gets better as we get better. We get more money, which is I think like why it's here. It is sort of those like those DLCs that like you buy to get extra levels to like help you farm. And like this is the character for that by getting the extra money. Not that you buy them separately, but and like yes, support attack is really good, and giving them enhanced attack with it is good. But we also have a ton of support attackers, and like even early on, we did not make practical use out of them really at all. Oh, we're morale short. Okay. So I don't think that they warrant that much credit there, because there's plenty of other characters who can do that same job at that, like, at an early point in the game. Let me turn this on. And while having lots of spirits is good, again, before you hit the shop, SP is at a premium. You really don't have a lot of SP to spare. So, like, I mean, consider how often we played with the Dynazenon, where we were getting 1 or 2 spirits off of those side pilots, maybe over the course of a map, where, like, Bowie, Omachi, and Isaac have cheaper spirits in general. Isaac does not get to be the powerhouse that he is because his best spirits are his bottom 3, and we don't have those. Omachi has Mercy, and she'll maybe get to cast 1 Bless. Like, she's probably not going to be doing anything early. Bowie gives us an Excel, and we maybe get an Excel and a Focus off of him. But, right, like, that's nothing to write home about as far as, like, early on. So I think a lot of, like, any credit we can give them from early utility, or any credit we can give them only extends so far into their early utility. You know? Also, I do like Leah as a major identity crisis. She wants to become Alpha Court after all. Also, slight spoiler, I hate that it was never addressed by the X-Cast that he is basically End-2 without being an evil Torterra. Those are a lot of words that I don't... So, I recognize Alpha Court. Yeah, I know you're talking about that with Alpha Court. Is he from X? Because he looks very similar to X characters. I thought he was just original to this game. Also, when you say evil Torterra, you mean like the Pokemon, right? Like you're talking about like the large world tree thing that we made. Or is he unique to this game and just because he's using the rest of the X, like he's using the rest of the X continuity with these characters? No, he's not from X. Okay, yeah, it's just that he's like leaning into the rest of the X stuff. So like theoretically, the characters from X that are familiar with the world he is trying to play into would like probably have something to say about it. Yeah, that feels really sloppy that they don't have anything to say about it. Oh, they have the same motivations. Got it. Yeah, you would hope then that would be like a thing that you have those characters address. That would be good. But also that feels like a little bit of a disappointment if you're just like rehashing the same thing from the same, like you made a new character but gave them the same motivation. Like that feels really underwhelming. Let's say we don't die another time. Let's just send him over here for some... We'll clear some stuff. Right, and if we wanted to, we could have invested. I mean, I don't need to like talk myself out of it. Like these maps have been pretty boring. I'm also like, because I'm not thinking, I'm like putting these characters in a bad position. I appreciate the fact that we have enemies coming at us from multiple angles. Like this is a pretty big ambush, but I think the last map was, I think the final map for Breiger is better than this because of the push that the objective required. On the first DLC map, they even remarked that the golems are from X, but are not controlled by an X character. How much does it feel like that maybe that was supposed to be in the game, and they just ran out of time? Because like, if you say that to me feels like they were planning to have that be part of a conversation. Also, Beck just runs away, not even destroyed. Yeah, he's still just here again. Whoops, that's a shame. That's fine. That's whatever. Okay, we're good here. Do we need to use anything? I mean, we may as well do this. It's probably fine. Whatever. We can fix it with assists. There's also an implication that Alpha Court returns in DLC 2, giving the Stinger with Gulliver. I also would not... Is he just going to, like, copy then other games for other DLCs? Right, for DLC 2, is he going to use, what? Either the T or the V character, like the T or the V enemies? And, like, practically everyone's immortal in these games because we, like, can't kill characters off, because then otherwise how are we going to keep filling the stages with the same 3 robots? I don't hate this idea, though, of... oh, we can't use resupply because it's unattached from our character. I kind of like the idea of trying to, like, reestablish some, like, consistent through line that, like, Alpha Court is, like, always going to be the villain for all of the DLCs moving forward. Like, for any game, that would be fun. Or it could be if they did it the right way. That would not really work. X is a fantasy. E and T were not. Maybe the Lamellus from OG Moon Dwellers. I mean, again, I put it to you. Have we really worried so much about things making sense? I feel like you could just as easily have him be the one who's, like, reverse isekaiing those robots. I mean, it, like, if they want it to work, they'll find a way to make it work, you know? What's the not Steve Jobs, that's not correct. Stan Lee. What's the Stan Lee quote? The superhero, which superhero wins is the one the writer wants them to win. Where I could easily see them just cycling through the rest of the International Saga. Or I mean, at that point, maybe they just do, like, 30 enemies. Man, this series is so hard to talk about. Maybe they should just do 30 enemies. Not, like, put 30 enemies on the map. Obviously not that. What else could that sentence possibly mean? Brick and wall, and I don't know, let's heal some, sure. That's close enough. Okay, so while we're doing this, let's talk units with respect to now having access to the shop. So this is like full power, everything goes, trying to push the game to its absolute limit. I think that, yeah, I think what I said before was I switched the places of the Common Rider. Thank you for showing up to him. That was really good timing. I appreciate that. I switched the places of Common Rider and Roger. Roger's scaling is based on defense, and because we can Unity Loop, and like, we're going to take Unity Looping into account for this. Oh, good night, Iron151. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed your time. I hope you enjoy your rest. No, please no. I want different villains. Also, the Golem fits his magic aesthetic. The other OG enemies do not. Maybe the 30 enemies that they stole from the Z games, if they read the compendium correctly. I mean, I'm with you. I'm not saying I want that. I'm not saying I want that. I would not be surprised, given how lazy some of this has been, that they would do that. But yeah. Good night. Enjoy your time, or enjoy your evening. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you. We'll see you later. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So. We already have Sol on because of our passive. We can get him analyzed and daunted. Yeah, yeah. Or not daunted. I mean, wait, no, we can't do that. To this thing, intimidate. Well, that's still not enough. That's fine. Sure. Did we not have a press? Maybe we used it already. Okay. Yeah, so Roger's only scaling comes from his defense, and because we can offload that into persists that make it so we just don't take damage, flashes so we don't take damage, or like just like full healing, all through the assist system. There's just like no reason to need that defense in the same way. It's just like so much less impactful. And like this is like true of all defensive qualities, that because we have like an unlimited source of defensive safety, the character just needs to do something more than like be good at surviving. And that is like kind of all that Roger can do, minus Negotiator. Well, darn, actually, it's unfortunate that NR51 had just left, because we were going to talk about like the way in which we can like abuse Negotiator. I do think Negotiator can do something by dropping morale, but my two caveats are this: A, we already can do that with Daunt. Daunt is way more efficient, way more consistent, and we already want to do that for like literally every enemy. So we can do that to every character. We don't have to be specific to who Roger's targeting. The fact that Roger can do it is an upside, but there is an amount of cost. The fact that he can't be everywhere at once. He can't target everything. The upside that NR151 proposed is based on the fact that it can get around the one ability that says you can't drop your morale below 100. What is it, Spirit Endurance? That all of the effects that let you drop morale do still work. You can still drop morale below that through those effects, which is, like that is a real use case. But I think it is a very, I would describe that not as a niche, but as a like super niche, because while you can do it, how often do you need to? And which I think is a question. I've tried to raise this as a question for these games many times. There is very little reason. There's very little reason beyond the point of being flashy to do a lot of these effects, and like dropping morale is just to be able to do more damage. And like, yeah, having ways to do more damage is valuable. We can just offload that, right? Like here, we can just offload that so many other ways that I think the point of forcing it is more of a novelty than it is an upside. There was never a point while we were playing where I went, well, darn, I'm really sad we can't drop the morale. If we got to, I would have, but like, if Roger is hitting with Negotiator, that's dropping 10 every time he attacks. If we are giving him support attacks, he's dropping it by 20 after a support attack and his own attack. Every point of morale is usually translated to half a percentage point towards damage, which if we're dropping it by 20 points, that's his attack and a support attack. I know we could get more, but that's just, I'm getting somewhere. that is a 10% difference. We just cast Analyze, and that is a 10% difference. I know that they stack. I recognize that they stack, but I don't know how much you are actually going to. I don't know how often it's actually going to matter in terms of damage. Like, you might be able to get over, you know, like right now, we're going to use this to be able to get back, to be one-shottable right now. But I don't think that's like a necessary thing you have to do. Like, you can just as easily achieve that through getting a second attack. And you kind of want that on the characters that, like, second attacking characters want that to begin with. So I think we can just offload a lot of. I think we can offload a lot of what Negotiator is doing onto other parts of our kit. It is like undeniably, it is doing something that we did not have access to really before it. Like, I'm not saying that these things are. I'm not saying it's performing the same role, but it is performing an equivalent role, one that I don't think needs substituting, because there's so many other ways to do it, and the rest of the upside is just barely there. I like to try to do this with card games because I think that was overkill. That's fine. I think too often it's really easy to just say if it's better, it's better. It's like, well, if I changed it in these like ways that I like, of course it would be improved. So instead, I try to ask people, or I try to like think about what is the smallest possible change you could make that would convince you to make what is the smallest possible change you could make that would convince you that it was playable. And I think for me, if Roger had the map attack that I'm used to, which is this like band shape, it's one in front and then three. I guess it's more of a pyramid shape. It's the tile in front of him, then 3 tiles, then 5, then I think it's just 5. You could even in this game do up to like 7 in the front just because of how busted this game is. That might convince me to use him. Because like that kind of map attack feels largely reserved. Like it seems very similar to how Kyrus is, right? The fact that he comes with Hit and Away and would have a map attack on him would make me seriously consider him pretty early on. I don't think that's the only answer, mind you. Just, that is like my first go-to answer. If you have thoughts, if you agree with me, we're so close. There's got to be. Okay, yeah, we're good. Right, because we can switch this to. Oh, he's right next to us. No. Okay, can we get damage somewhere in here? Oh, here. Yeah, there we go. If you agree with me, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about. Oh, we already used Valor. Darn it! That's why I get for not paying attention. I'm curious to hear if you feel the same. Or I mean, like, if that is not the change you would make, what is the smallest change that you would make to make Roger usable? Assuming you don't think he is already. If you do feel like there is a use for him, I will gladly debate you about it. I will probably act to disagree. I'm like upset though. I just feel like I don't feel like we get enough debating going on this channel. I want to do that more. But there's literally nothing about his kit. Thinking about I can build my own character. There is literally nothing about his kit that makes me want to build around him. that I'm not already getting through somebody else. I guess yeah. Here's like a really funny thing about it, right? As much as I just said like I don't care about Negotiator, that is the thing that I would want to build around. But if I was building around it, I would feel like I was building around a gimmick, not like an actual, you know, not an actual like really competent strategy. I don't know if we've seen the flash shot, so let's do that. Which to me is like the demarcation of a not good unit. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be cute, but I think it's you would. But I think cute is the word. You know. Who else is left? Oh, one of these. Okay, that's fine. We can clean this up here. He does have soul, and like soul is useful. I know we can offload that into assists, but it is also the most costly of things to offload into assists. So like, that's not. It is certainly a plus. He gets it last, so like, not full credit. You know. That's all I wanted to go. I wanted to look at what his. Nope. Ace bonus. Activates the Crush Spirit. Oh, yes. Yeah, right. We're like, I'm glad this is an effect that exists, but this is a waste of an Ace bonus. This is like the easiest thing that we can replace. And outside of Soul, there's like very little about the rest of his kit that makes me really want to use him. None of the rest of these these stats, I'll get it right eventually, stand out. Like the fact that his defense is 213 is so low. I don't even think if they pumped his defense up to 250, like if they made his defense 260, if it was the best thing that he had, if he was like consistently taking only 3 points of that, like 3 stat lines of damage, or 3 increments of damage, I don't even think I would want to use him. Yeah, which is really disappointing because I really like the design of the Big O. I've not watched it, but I really had fun with it in D. I just wish I could say the same here. So to that, for not trying to be busted, if we're not trying to loop things, if we don't feel like we have, you know, free access to practically whatever we want, I still don't think he is bringing a lot to the table. Defense is still just not a thing that this game values. Oh, we're 1 point away. That's so upsetting. We could have taken that out of sight too. That's fine. I guess we'll just do almost all of this next time. Let's go back over on the right side. Yeah, there's still just like very little drawing us to him. Like he even if we're playing fairly, this has got to be the last one. Even if we're trying to play fairly, we don't want our units to play fairly. We want our units to be busted. We want them to do something that the rest of the other characters can't do. And again, he just isn't doing something that no other character can do. Oh, is he still alive? Okay. Oh, good. It's the same stuff over and over again. The Kamen Rider's already out, that's why. We aren't seeing them on the selection menu. That's fine. Technically, we should have put everything on the Bragger to to like get actual money up, but that's fine. We'll send the Kamen Rider forward and see what he can do, and just let Schwartz come in. Sorry, Schwarz. Man, how are we still not killing things? Okay, that's like almost lethal. How are we like... Man, we're like still just shy on damage. Okay. We're... Oh, we have all 4 points of ignore size, so that can't be it. Is just our numbers ain't there. I guess we can fix that. I guess, yeah, I'm like kind of giving them a hard time for like not being able to do what other characters have been doing, but I've not been giving them the buff that I have been giving other characters. Okay, well, I mean, that's still something. Had we positioned that correctly, we could have gotten the Lelouch buff, which we've not been using at all. Turns out that actually makes a really big difference. Great. Okay, yeah. So then I still think the okay, if we're unity looping, the Breiger is technically the best. It is the slowest presser that there is, because it is tied to a subpilot, so we need to go through more loops to get less SP from more expensive assists. But it's like infinite's still infinite. And that's like almost exclusively on the back of Isaac. They just like I said before, it's still true they don't have anything that scales even in late game. They do have a 7 ranged attack. I'm pretty sure that's what the bright cannons are. And that range is pretty rare for this game. Like that on top of all of the spirits that they have, on top of the fact that they whoops, I forgot to use Pierce. That's fine. Oh, the fact they have other attacks too. The fact they have other like actual attacks too. Means that 7 range attack is like just an upside. Okay, let's just have him have a bad time. Spirits analyze. Intimidate, and he is the one that he's got spirit endurance. I guess yeah, he's at 103 morale. We're allowed to bring him down to 100. Let's do that. And then we will attack with Roger first. So we can see that he is in fact brought low by it. Yeah, we're seeing his 94 morale now, even though he's not supposed to go below it. Which is like cute, but that's a 3% difference in damage. It's just, yeah. I think we also need more morale. Yeah. How is this not lethal? Oh, because we don't have the double damages on. Okay. Yeah, that'll work. So I want this to go to the Breiger for money reasons. We need fortune. And Valor. Yeah, like that is good. But I think it just needs more. If you're looping Unity, I think it is the one that you want to loop Unity with the least. Like, even I think Char is better. He has damage that scales up better with new type. I still maintain that Hayate is the best at it. I don't remember other pressers. Okay, the Bregger might be better than Tamaki, Pink 2 or whatever her number is. Because she also does have a really good way of scaling damage, and she doesn't natively have a good way of doing damage. Anyway. Or at least we have big numbers here. And, like, outside of Isaac's pool of spirits, none of the rest of the three have that good of spirits. They have functional ones. Like, they're not going to get docked points for not having, like, the spirits that we need to have going. But none of them really stand out. They're just functional. Dulco Vesta. I'm sure that's Latin. I can't think of what it is for now. Dulco is really close to the word, like, second or two. Vesta is the Roman goddess of the hearth. I mean, it's kind of like a steam engine. That seems, like, close. We've got no abilities on it. Of course not. Hopefully there's second phase. Double action. We just have to let him do that to be able to get it. He does have Morale Break EX. Wait. Oh, this is the one that drops the us morale. I was like, he still has Morale 150, but it's not what. Morale Break does not break your morale limit. Jules Helvet? Interesting translation. Yeah, that map attack is... I realized the other day also I just, like, never looked at map attacks. Because we just, like, never give them the chance to use them. SP down is kind of painful. Okay, well... Like, we don't have invested... We're not invested enough into the Common Riders, specifically W, to, like, make this, like, a really clean, easy one-shot, but... Turn the attacks off. The Bragger also just has one of the more expensive energy pools of attacks of the three of them. Where, like, at least with Common Rider, we are getting... Oh, bring this up. Oh, did we all lose morale? Okay, and then we all lost morale, and we're all probably going to gate it again at some point. We all were like, oh no, he's scary. But being able to always attack, or being able to, like, basically always participate in combat is very good. Like, oh man, that assault has a hit on us. That's not good. Yeah, where I feel like we are... Maybe I don't have the, like, hit decay turned off. If so, this is very self-destructive. We mustn't have hit decay turned off. Okay, well, we'll still counter, and we'll make do. I guess if we get hit, we'll get a lot of evade back. But being able to, like, pretty much always participate in combat is, like, definitely an upside. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. If you said you were using the Bragger, I would not question that it was on your team. If you said that you were primarily using the Bragger, I would ask you either how or what kind of challenge run you were playing. Like, I don't think it's going to be your carry. Oh, okay. We're not getting enough evade from... Do they not have potential? He does have potential. Yeah, see, like, potential just does not do enough in this game. Yeah, this is probably where we die. No, we're good. Okay. He's got 2 attacks, right? We already said that. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to the drawing board. We gotta change our hit correction then. I thought we had it on, but like clearly we do not. Oh, it's the placement bonus. It's this that I thought was hit correction. So I'm pretty sure we had that node filled, but that's on me. That's me being dumb. Let's try this again. Because without that, we wouldn't have gotten hit at all, and that would have been fine. We'll just run that back. Yes. This is just everybody, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll also change the placement now to pull you forward. Okay. I care more about giving it to Kamen Rider than anybody else. So I think actually to that point, we might just wait and let them come in. Yeah, let's just have them come in. If you okay, so yeah, I think that about covers it. If you aren't going to Unity Loop, I think the Bragger gets much worse. Because I think the thing that's really selling it is the fact that Isaac to me has the thing that's really selling it to me is that Isaac has press. And because his press because press on Bragger is tied to a character that already has so many other jobs, I'm much less apt to give him credit. You know? Right, there is a real cost to using his SP in a way that the rest of the people in his team do not experience. I feel like we did more damage before, probably because we had Smash turned on. Yeah, that's a little closer. Spirit, Pierce. Excel. We need to daunt him first to. Oh no, he doesn't have any. Okay, because we didn't kill anything this turn. So we need to daunt him first to like take the morale out. We can. Howdy, Tricky. Welcome in. I hope you're having a good day. We are talking unit analysis. Seeing as you're here, and this probably pertains to you a lot too, I would like to propose a slightly more organized way of talking units. I think I've done a mediocre job in leading us in discussing units. Oh, you're finishing to celebrate your birthday. Happy birthday. You said your birthday was coming up. I did not realize it was going to be, I didn't realize like how soon it was. Well, thank you for joining me for your birthday. I hope this is like an adequate way of celebrating. I obviously don't need specifics, so you don't need to tell me about your private life, but I just, in general, I hope you had a good one. Units are divided into 2 groups. I'm curious to see which groups you are dividing them into. Group 1 DPS, Group 2 supporters. Okay, yes, I do think that is a way to divide them, but I am thinking more in terms of how divided the gameplay in this game is. So I have made I'm making distinctions by time here, and then internal to that, I have another one. I've got to divide it a second time. So I would like to talk about units pre-shop and post-shop, which we already have been doing, but I want to do it. I want to call it out very deliberately, because I think often when we've been making points, the two people who are debating are both correct. It's just that some of us are talking about, it's just that some of us are talking about in the context of before getting access to the shop and not, which I think especially matters for these DLC units, seeing as you do get them at the begin. You can get them as soon as the beginning of Chapter 2. And then for post-shop, I am dividing it. Also, which part in the game? Are you asking where we are right now, or are you saying like post-game we should divide that, or post-shop we should divide that a little bit more? But insofar as talking about post-shop, because I know that there are a couple people who watch who are loath the idea of using Unity looping or anything that feels like it's breaking the game. I am not going to take that analysis. I'm going to spend less time trying to think about that analysis, but I do think I do still want to try and pay it some mind that some people are not going to necessarily play by using literally every single mechanic that there is. Like, if things feel cheesy, I know people are want to try to remove them. So, like, that's definitely going to be very vibes-based, but I think we still, like, want to try and talk about it. Units get better when they unlock new weapons. That is true. This is the, I believe, the last mission. So if we're talking about just, like, in terms of the DLC, these units are at their best right now, I believe. Lunadrak goes from mediocre combat to good combat after 2-7. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, so here, my everything I was saying about those three categories, I think is, for right now, to me, general, where I think, like, in the case of the Lunadrak, right, it's very easy to be able to pinpoint specifically and say, you know, it needs X moves to be able to perform adequately. But I think that kind of granularity will come out when we get to the units specifically. But I think being able to say, you know, we're going to talk about these units in the context of pre-shop or post-shop, just as a starting place, I think is going to help us from running into this, like, what you are saying is true. Also, in addition to the point that I'm trying to make, that is, like, just at a different time period in the game, or, like, vice versa. Oh yeah, we super did have a lot of our stuff drained, which presumably means we're going to get it back later. The extreme morale reliant units get a lot better post drop. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Right. So, like, I was saying that with like the God Gundam was sort of the barometer that I was using. It feels like a good halfway point to discuss these. So, like, I like the Common Riders a lot less pre-shop because I feel like a good chunk of their utility, especially early on, is dependent on them getting their presses off of Futo PI, which needs to be at morale 130. And if we're, like, docking the God Gundam for being morale hungry at 120, we can't give the Common Riders credit at 130, you know? God Gundam is extremely bad if it doesn't hit 120 morale quickly. Yes, yeah. I think it has probably the largest turnaround, though, that, like, it goes from a unit that I would never want to deploy to a unit that's, like, you know, probably making close to the top, if not the top of performance. Like, you do need to, like, sort of you need to, like, shoot yourself in the foot a little bit by not using the other carries. But it is genuinely very respectable once it's in hyper mode. I think I'm a little bit higher on it because I really value its counter. But at the very least, I think it's like an easy character to use as sort of a way to like measure unit comparison, at least as far as talking about morale requirements. Third best behind Gare and Dynazenon. Yeah, especially early game, 100%. Oh boy. So I was saying that I like the Common Rider a lot better later, and I think this is still true. I'm just not using it exactly perfectly. But the Common Rider definitely, like, I've not compared these with the others, but Common Rider loses a lot of credit by having such a small range of attacks. Like, can we hand over a Pierce somewhere in here? Hopefully. No, we can't actually. Okay. That's fine. Okay, well, we're gonna end up killing something that doesn't necessarily need to be. Oh? Didn't we have a soul here? That's weird. Okay, that's whatever. So low weapon power mechs probably get a lot better post-shop. Yeah, that is true too. Yeah, I would say as a broad statement, I would cop to that. Where for me right now, I have it. Hayate really needs push-up to kill anything. Yes, I do think that is true. I do think Hayate is like pretty miserable looking pre-shop, but I mean, you know, I'm his bravest little soldier post-shop. So as far as the DLC goes, then I think pre-shop I have it the Big O, then Breiger. Or sorry, yeah, I think the Big O is the best, Breiger is the second best, and the Common Riders are the worst pre-shop. I can see the potential now to invest into him for LTC. I'm so glad I finally convinced you. Like I do think that there is something there. Yeah. Well, have you been playing around with him with LTC planning? This is honking rough because of our range, but that's fine. I'm being disrespectful to the DLC because I think the DLC is disrespectful. I had to reroute the LTC now that you get a rank faster. Oh, that's fair. That's yeah. Well, yeah, which is like, again, part of the reason why I just stopped, because like I don't want to lab a lot of stuff that we're just gonna need to change the math for later. Like, I'm not telling you to stop by any means. Like, I respect the hustle for it. But I've got so much other stuff that I like want to try and plan for too, that like it doesn't feel worth it to me to invest a lot of time into something that we know we're just gonna change later. But I also need to figure out like how long I want to wait. Like, if it's gonna change again for DLC number 2, I theoretically want to wait for that, but like, how long is it gonna take us to get the next DLC? You know. But yeah, right? Because people were we were getting stalled at either C or B, and then a lot of people started reporting on Reddit that after the DLC they were jumping from like wherever the stall was, like immediately up to S with the corrections, which does give us like that's. Of all of the global changes we could get, I would say that's probably the most impactful we could have gotten. That is a pretty large range you've got there, Mr. Alpha. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, did everyone get juiced up now. Yeah, okay. Everyone has their... Everyone's maxed out now. Cool. But yeah, so to like try and catch you up a little bit with what we were with the DLC interpretation, I think none of the DLC units are that standout to me. I think all of them are competent. I would not question that you were using any of them, but I would question you if you felt like you needed to buy the DLC to get access to them. You know? So my LTC currently is looking how to clear 2-4. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to talk strategy there. If you don't mind, can we at least hold it until I get through some more thoughts about the like DLC unit performance in general? It's killing all enemies and 2 big bosses and 2 ships. I think I remember the one. But we can pull up the... I can pull up the map and look at it too. So we can like talk through some stuff. But I feel like we just demonstrated, you know, exactly why, or not exactly. I feel like we just demonstrated the fact that the common riders have a bit of a downside to them, which is like I think we're going to need to plan around. That their range is pretty atrocious. Once we're out of our ammo, we are stuck to 3 range, which is kind of rough. I do think they're probably I might, outside of the use of press, but I still maintain that Breiger is not the best press turner. Because of double and skulls crit, because of Futo PI, I still think they scale the best into late game. They are basically getting to do what the Dynazenon wants to do with Kaiju, but without it needing to A, be specific, and B, they have the upside of having an extra... Oh, no, they have the same part slots. Never mind, they also have 3 part slots. We need them to have 4 to be better. But they're also not locked to specific unit types. It is what they are increasing their damage by 25% by 1.2 times because of their crit modifier. So we're losing out on 5% extra damage over the Dynazenon, but we're not locked to character type. So I think I value that way more. We know that Pierce doesn't matter. Oh yeah, we never put wall on. I still think... Oh, yeah. And like... Because I'm also comparing them directly to the rest of the DLC units, which is like not a full... like, if you're trying to make a full analysis of them, that's like not theoretically what you should be doing, because they should be incorporated into all of the strategy. But if you're just trying to think about like if you're going to get the DLC or not, neither of the other 2 characters scale up in terms of damage, and they also scale up really easily well. The survivability you get off of being able to customize also, like, now that I've correctly actually removed the hit correction, the Kamen Rider's just never getting hit, and we've not actually even built towards that. We've just invested points into upgrades. Like, we've not put parts on that really deal with that at all. So like if you needed to, especially earlier on, where you can't afford all of the like stat points into it, you could pretty easily, pretty competently get the Kamen Rider seeing a 0% chance to get hit. Here's, oh wait, we said we don't need Pierce, we need Tricky. So, Smash, Valor, and a Fortune. We can just switch to the Bright Cannon now. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Are DLC evaluated for LTC in mind or just general gameplay? I'm thinking just for general gameplay right now. Because I think like the average person is probably going to be using, like, is not going to be LTCing. But I mean, I'm more than happy to try and talk about them in terms of LTCing also. If you, do you have thoughts about how they've worked into your LC? I've been talking for too long. Do you have thoughts about how they've factored into your LTC planning? I should also, as much as I say that you should assume that when I say I'm going to look at something, we're going to like fully analyze it, I should probably just assume that when you're talking about things, you're going to want to try to incorporate it into the LTC thing, like LTC planning. I don't have the DLC, but they probably can. They probably cost more turns than they save. Yeah, so I think, again, to return to this question about scaling, I don't know what it is that they are offering that other units can't already do, and those other units are also forced onto you to begin with by just playing through the game normally. Like, as much as I can be excited about Kamen Rider getting a lot of damage from crits, there is a point where having more damage just doesn't matter because you are already killing enemies. So like, what does more do for you? And yeah, like, you need to go through so many stages to like actually be allowed to keep them and keep them in full form, right? You need to play their first mission, which everyone has access to even without the DLC. If you do that, you don't get to keep them. You then need to do an individual mission for each of them. You could, I don't mind that. You could theoretically select for which one you wanted to use. Like, say if we found something that worked for Breiger that none of the other pilots could do. We at least don't need to waste turns on trying to grab, we don't need to waste turns on getting other pilots, right? Which I do think is a theoretic upside, but there are so many better ways to get damage. They are not support bots none of them are support units by any means. And like, again, outside of the press that Isaac offers you, where are you? Yeah, here. Like, outside of this press that Isaac offers you, and that comes so late, I'm not sure what it is that they are doing that I want that every other character can't already do. Like, if you handed me a Kamen Rider that was done, like, maybe I could see, once we can already one-turn things, maybe if we could get these two, if we could get Kamen Rider once we already have we're already one-turning things, maybe I could see picking him up, because like, done, he's pretty close. Do you value having a Zeal user? I do value having a Zeal user. Could you please tell me which character is a Zeal user from among these? I'm not trying to be snarky. I think you are operating with some information that's been translated poorly. Because none of the Kamen Riders have Zeal, unfortunately. All of these times it says Soul instead of Zeal. Because, yeah, if we do, like, Zeal would be really useful, but yeah. Yeah, it's Soul, it's not Zeal. Yeah, no, it would be a somewhat different conversation if they actually got Zeal instead. It is also admittedly only a single instance of Zeal. If it did do what it said it did, it would only still be a single instance of Zeal, which I don't think you necessarily need more than that. But yeah, no, it works the same. It works exactly the same. You can even see it right now. Hold on. You can even see it right now that it has Soul here too, and not Zeal. But I would say Kamen Rider Skull is halfway between Double and Excel. It has Futo's PI, so it actually does get the crit bonus, the 50% crit bonus. It also starts with 3 levels of ignore size, which is not nothing. This goes from double small to small to medium and to large. So he does hit large by default, where the other 2 only hit medium by default with ignore size. So I do think that is definitely a plus. But he's getting final hit rate from his ace bonus rather than final dodge rate, and I don't think we need this, seeing as he already has bullseye. He's got +1 on move compared to Double, but he has 10 less mobility and 100 less power for his weapons. So the differences are pretty small. I would say the differences are pretty functionally small between the 2 of them as far as like their numbers are looking. He is also an Intimidate user. It is admittedly at the literal end of his kit. I don't know what level he gets that at, but it's like hard to give him credit for that because we need to invest long term to be able to get it. These analyzers in their 3rd slots feel pretty dead to me. We already have 10 cost analyzers. I'd rather just use those. Like, the end of his kit is really exciting. The beginning of his kit is just competent. But like, I really want this persist to be focused on him, seeing as everything else wants him to be a dodger. Like, he's not supposed to be defending as much. He does give a double rider combination. He does give a combination attack with double, which is like decent, but do you actually ever value analyze besides purple 2? Okay, I mean, so like I've still not used purple 2 since that revelation we've discovered. But I found that regularly analyze was pushing me over the threshold of killing bosses. That is still admittedly when I hadn't done a lot of planning. So like maybe with more planning that wouldn't actually matter. So do you have the A admin that has analyze on bosses? Oh yes, yeah, right. Like we can just do it. Like, yeah, we can just do it from Navi. Yeah, like I don't think it makes that big of a deal. Which is why I was saying like it is. That's why I was saying it's a dead slot. Yeah, well, I guess I wanted to be on the team, but yeah. No, I had just written off all of MJP. I had forgotten that it had that ability, and the fact that that also applies the fortune, the blessing cheer buffs to. Yeah, no, I think purple is covering that job already, and if not purple, Jet Jaguar is doing it. I mean, we've got to go out of our way to get Jet Jaguar, and I don't know how long that stage takes to clear. But, oh, you do have Spear Endurance. We can still drop you from 50. I guess that's actually true. I've not checked to see if any of those maps still. I did not check that. I think this is the last mission. We still have an hour left. We can go back and try and grab those afterwards to see if they do still work. Speaking of seeing if things work, I am also curious here. So I never actually checked the like full numbers on this. Alpha Court has Spirit Endurance. We can't daunt him down below 100. But in the past, when people have had Spirit Endurance, they've lost more than 10 morale on a daunt. So that was only one daunt we activated. Okay, he went down to 140. Maybe that's a bug that they fixed, or maybe it just doesn't apply to Alpha Court. Have I ever bought? I've not bought. I bought literally none of the EX skills yet. They're so expensive. Attacker EX. Attacker EX costs like $3 million. So no, in fact, I have not purchased that yet. It's so expensive. Speaking of analyzers, there's that. We're missing some extra damage buffs. Okay. How much health does this man have? We want to give this, we want to give them Neo. You can Zeal Spam pretty easily. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll get him out. It's just, sure. And we'll see the attack so we can see what he looks like. Because pretty much all of these enemies have been done so dirty. The big duo has visually, I think, been the most competent. But we also haven't watched the Dinosaur attack in a bit, and this animation is still pretty decent. We do cut away from the like crummy CG long enough. Yeah, I probably should have smashed it as well. I didn't forget to do that. Yeah, it's fine. Not like it matters, right? We can just still go infinite, so we can just keep hitting him. I would skip this. I just don't know which button skips our attack versus skips the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm clearly, like, if you go back and watch any of the rest of this, I'm, like, clearly not trying very hard to, like, clear these maps very well, because, like, so few of them actually required any thought. This is mostly just, like, background as we talk about, like, the characters. Alright. What do we got? This is pretty cool. There's just like the steampunk of it just feels a little bit out of place with the rest of the visual. Okay, what did he hit us with? That was this. So that's armor down. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we should be. We'll smash all of these times. Yeah, I guess this is probably just the fastest way to do it. Crush doesn't matter, right? Spirit Endurance stops Crush from mattering, right? Oh, no. I can't for the life of me remember which of these effects stop which other effects. I also know that there is a better way to do this, and I know that it's not one that I am doing. I'm just trying to do this as, like, fast as we can, quick. I forgot to dodge. That's fine. That's fine. Here's a love. Great. We don't even, like, need to loop it. We're only gonna need to Unity. Oh, yeah, we don't even... okay, hold on. I think we still have enough left in the tank that we can do it again in case this is, like, multi-phase. Is love better or is bravery better? Excel, bullseye, persist, valor, spirit, charge. Excel, bullseye, flash, valor, spirit, gain, fortune. Okay, love is better. Do we have something else happening? Or is it just that his like, potential's kicked in? I think it's probably just his potential's kicked in. That's fine. I just did literally the opposite of what I said last time. That's fine. They already have fortune and gain. Okay. So this may be the last. Accept your loss. Please do. Please not more. Is this what I think NR151 was talking about this, that he's gonna like we maybe have compelling evidence that he might be the villain for DLC also too also. Yeah, okay. Oh, and then Leah's fine. Okay, sure, whatever. This feels like the end of the DLC with this. Yeah. Okay. Do we get anything else for the end of the DLC, or is this just like unceremoniously over? Cool. I figured they would give us like parts or something. No? Okay. Okay, so first things first, because we didn't look at this yet. Here is another part that we got during the DLC. We got Hard-Boiled Hat. I believe, if my math is correct, this part is coming from the DLC missions that are required, that you need to be in Chapter 5 to get. If I got this Chapter 2, I'd be happy. Chapter 5, I do not think this is worth it. And now knowing that the, like, SP stacking effects don't work, I'm, like, not even, like, bother tempted to, like, try and put that together. So that was, it looks like all of DLC 1. I would say, even if you enjoyed your time with Y, if you were thinking about buying the DLC, I do not think it is worth your time. I think you have way better things to spend your money on. It is only $15, but it is still a $15. It's still $15 that is only really giving you a couple of units that aren't even that good. Okay, so we'll jam through a couple of battles quick so we can like start testing some of this other information that we had before. So first thing we want to do is we want to see if any of the mat effects still work. Ciela has one, Suzukaze does not, and Ernest has them. I guess just, oh yeah, hold on. Lelouch has one. I guess we'll put out the ones that do have them first. Purple 2. And I think we determined that the Zelgard does not trigger it. How much whatever it is. Okay. Okay. Oh, hold on. We're going to make an interim save here just to make it really easy to reload this so we can test everybody really quickly. So, wide-range strategic recon. Give you a bless. Give you a cheer. Okay, Rain has no spirits. We've already used wide-range strategic recon. Oh, okay. That no longer works on her. Did they take this whole thing out? They may have taken this whole bug out. That would be disappointing. I didn't even get to use it. Okay, let's use rush strategy. This is the person we worked on at first. Oh, did I have? Maybe I had to use it on them before we cast the rush strategy. Okay, that didn't work still. I'll try and use it on him first. I don't remember what the order was. Um, okay, rush strategy. Yes. No, okay. Rain didn't get it. I think this is probably entirely gone. Tricky, if you are still here, let me know if I'm doing this in the wrong order. But I think the bug is just entirely missing, which is a shame. Roll it back into the menu. I still have the interim save if we want to use it though. I'll at least put this on. What? Oh, that was yeah. I got it on too. Whoops. Let me at least crack open my my 2-4 map so I can talk about this too. Even if you aren't here like live, you can still come back and look at it later. Where is Y scenario? I like super need to organize my drive. Maybe I'll do that after. No, I don't have a map for 2-4 yet. Oh no, I have 2 sub 4. Yeah. Okay, well, that's a bit of a bummer. Okay, how close? Hold on, let's see if any of my other files are close to that. Let's see where this is. It was... What'd you want to do? Cursed mobile suits. Yeah, so that's after Witch of Mercury. Okay. Well, I guess let's start doing this while I like post-mortem on the DLC. I know I kind of said my piece already about it, but I think we summed it up well throughout the rest of the conversation, like during actual gameplay, but I am disappointed to see this is the direction that both the game and the DLC are taking. I don't think this DLC is robust enough. I think the maps are pretty sloppy. The last Bryger map was good. There was actually an objective to complete. Even the DLC boss, like, outside the fact that you could just skip him, is like not even more threat. I think he's less threatening than some of the bosses we get in Chapter 6. Just not an actual menace at the end. There's like no fanfare to the conclusion. Maybe narratively so, but like mechanically, there's no like super rare part or anything, which feels lame. The character, like, I like getting to see the characters that are present, but gracious, are they just not inspired designs? Who was I using for this clear? Because everyone is so low leveled. Was it Shin? Maybe. Oh, you know what? I think it was probably the main character. Oh, I guess Akiba's a little bit. We're gonna get through this quickly, then we'll get to 2-4 after this. We're like, it's going to mostly be speculative on my part because of just how like statted my units are, because this is a data gathering file. But we can still at least talk about it. Hopefully Tricky will be back by then so we can like have a conversation. But it, at the very least, the DLC, I think, follows with the design philosophies of Y. It's just that those design philosophies I don't think are for me. I was really hoping to see a DLC that did push for some like more mechanical complexity. I don't think that I was like, I think my optimism was maybe unreasonably founded. But I figure, like, because the DLC is something that is optional, it's very easy to include things that not everyone necessarily wants to have to play, you know? It also feels very, so to that point, it feels very strange to me that for a game that really values the ability to, like, choose different scenarios, the fact that the DLC is, like, pretty well locked in. We have the starter mission for everybody. Then we have a mission of... We have, like, one for all three of our protagonists. And then one for all three of our protagonists. Then one unified. Then one for all three of our protagonists. Then one for all three. And then unified. And then unified. That's, like, it's very formulaic that you have to do all of them. And, like, you get to do them in a different order, sure. But, like... I don't know. Give me... Yeah, just, like... The DLC is the perfect place to include, if they even want to use that same pattern of like 3-3-1, 3-3-1. Give me 4 more missions that are not required. Don't put anything locked behind them, but make them, you know, make them unique to each of the 3 stages, or each of the 3 pilots. And have them be just like bonkers hard. But I don't think this game like knows how to make missions that are hard, that aren't just like more stats, that are just like higher numbers of HP. Which is a real shame. Yeah. It feels like it doesn't know, it doesn't feel like it feels like it doesn't know all of the tools that it like gave its pilots or players. But yeah, like have something that's like specifically tuned around the Bragger with its long range. So like have a variety of enemies that like stay really far away. And then also ones that get really in close, because a lot of its attacks don't have immediate range, right? It's like its close range attacks start at 2 many times. Or for the common riders, have ones that just like fully cancel crits that you have to like rely on dodging. But then even then, I would still like to have seen the common riders have something different. I would still like to have seen the common riders have something different with how any of their abilities work. Yeah. I mean, that yawn is the answer, right? It's this whole thing, the whole DLC was snooze-worthy. It's baffling to me that the Big O got 2 enemies and the Bragger got nothing in terms of enemies. That's so strange. They all seem delayed there. No. Okay. Oh, you know what? Hold on. We're gonna reload this because we can get Suleta to she can just be normal. Yeah. I hope Tricky comes back like in a minute or 2. That would be helpful. Because I don't know what we should like normally have at this point. Is it here? Yeah, system. Okay, we are on expert. Good. Okay, let's see what's up with these maps. I could theoretically try and do a deep dive on them. I would like to. I would like to be in a position where I could do that, but I feel like I got too much other work I need to do. Like, I still haven't done the alphas for this week, and I need to get that done too. Okay. I wonder if this dodge also applies to him. We don't have the ability to have upgraded Suleta at this point because she's technically in the party. She's temporary from the last mission. All of this terrain is the same. You have a 3 range post movement. Oh my word. How is this not a feature in this game where I can just keep their movement up for a time? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you can move here. Nope. What is the... Oh, no, stop. How do I stop this? Good lord. Why is that a button? How do I mark tiles this one? Every single one of these games has a different system for doing this. I was trying to use the button for Fantasy Maiden Wars. Okay, what were we doing? No. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. And then you have a 3 range post movement. 1, 2, 3. So we can still move back into this forest. We don't start with enough for escutcheons, which is a shame. Okay. Let's try moving back first. Oh, because it used the intuition. I think I probably wanted to get hit there to try and get get another point of morale. Or is the first one like a false start? Okay. So we're gonna reload that. Because I want to see let's see if we can trigger that. We'll save after doing this part too. We'll see if we can trigger that and still get an enemy phase to do something with. Right, if it's just if that's just literally any combat, we can charge. All right, we don't care about our positioning. Yeah. We don't need to care about our positioning because we're going to get moved anyway. And we can intuition so that we also have the bullseye on enemy phase 2. Okay. No, interesting. So it is on turn 2. Okay. What? Stop. Still going. Okay, so that is just damage we don't need to take. So I think we're not casting anything. Yeah. I don't think we're going to be casting anything. And just, like, let it go to turns if we can't force it to start. Yeah, right, that saves us. That saves us both the SP and the... That saves us all the resources. We're not, we're not doing enough damage. Like, we're missing out on damage here, but we're not doing enough damage to make that worthwhile. So let's save here. Let's see how let's try and end this on turns first. Okay, so it looks like by turn 4. Okay, we're still not done. This is so long. Are we sure we can't upgrade Suleta before this? Because this is brutal. Or maybe we just like know we need to take that as a hit for turns. Okay. What do we got? It kills all enemy. Oh, okay, yeah. It's kill all enemies and 2 big bosses, 2 ships. Okay. Also, you need a specific setup to clear Suleita's duel in 3 to 4 turns. Yeah, sure looks like it. SCG upgrades to gain +4 morale a turn and rank 2 Mari. Yeah. Yeah, I also do not, I mean, this is like so long ago, but I also do not find the Death Scythe that useful. That's interesting that some of those effects from SCG memory still work, or like assists still work, like Mari still gives effects, even when you can't like activate her. Okay. So what's the only condition that's changed? We have that battleship. Okay, we'll just keep passing into turns, we'll say. Obviously this is not going to be like thorough or complete. Just to like get some thoughts in. Oh right, we also need to not kill stuff. Because I just want to see turns. I don't want to see like kills. I guess the first thing we can do is, okay, so our boss does not move turn 1. I guess we can count how many spaces he is away. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Approximately 26 spaces from anyone that you could want to place. Oh, and stop killing things. That is a bit of an ask to... That is a bit of an ask to get people to. You definitely can't... that seems almost impossible to do that in 1 turn. I think we... no, I think we can't... I don't think we can assume Daba has his press yet. Because that feels like the best guess to get somebody up there. Yeah. Okay, the boss does move turn 2. So, what, it moves 5? I said 26. You'll need to cover 21 movement then if we're doing it in 2 turns. Because it's already making up part of that difference. So, right, you get to use your movement, and a range. So what, divide 20? So you need the average of 7 between the 3 of those. That still feels like a really big ask. I feel like you're going to be hitting at turn 3. And even then, it's not dead in 3 turns. It's not dead on turn 3 because it's 46,000 HP. But you can probably, in 3 turns, you could probably get most of your units over to it, though. Okay, where... Oh, no, I was scrolling back down. I keep scrolling back down. Do we have... No, you don't have a turn count up here for this. Drat. Darn. And we also still haven't checked all conditions yet. We're still at final. Okay. We're still checking turns. I have to imagine if it's going to give it to us in turns, it's going to give it to us soon. It's probably at the end of turn 3. Then we can check enemy kills. Because sometimes they do, like, weirdly, like, just jump people forward. So maybe we can get some, like, free movement out of that. Yeah, I think, like, one of the things that's going to be, like, really major for testing is figuring out which characters get moved when. Because if it's, like, based on where they're, like, located, right? If it's, like, the character that started in position 2 gets moved this way. Or if it's, like, you know, every time the writing is on the battlefield, this is always where it's going to get moved to, in one of those, like, weird jump cutscenes. No? I mean, like, this is now to the point where no matter what the turn count is, it's kind of unhelpful. Because, like, we can't spend 4 turns having not... I mean, like, we could theoretically make progress, right? We could have everyone reduced to the point where anything would kill them. Theoretically. But... let's see. All right, well, while we're doing this, I just really hope the second DLC is better. I like all of the... I think I like all the units that are going to be in it, if I remember correctly. I'm curious if we're going to be allowed to switch getter pilots. I can't imagine we would be able to, but, like, maybe that would be cool. It'd be pretty neat if we had a getter pilot we could fit in any position, and then we could send off one getter pilot onto their lonesome. Like, that feels like a fun and unique thing. And that doesn't feel like it would necessarily... Good gracious. Okay, so this mustn't be on turns, then. Or if it is, it's just, like, too far beyond reasonable. We gotta do all this again. That's fine. Yeah, we do. You do need the morale growth to, like, actually see the escutcheons happen. Because I know when I'm, like, at full build that I've, like, shot him down at this point already. Oh, that must... I was gonna say, like, how do we do that, though? But that must have been when I wasn't in a new game plus. That mustn't have been new game. That must have been new game plus, where Soletta already had investment into her. Yeah. Okay. I also... Is this also, like, is this juice worth the squeeze? Because, like, anything I check is going to be, like, so deeply biased by the fact that all of my characters are, like, at the most busted state or not at all. You know? Also, what I said was not true, because, like, all these... This is also a New Game Plus file. And you have to reinvest in characters. They don't keep their upgrades. So what was I saying? Oh, you know, no. You can keep your upgrades. I just didn't select that for this one. Okay. We got there eventually. Vicious. Yeah, so many of these missions that have the you know what, hold on. We can still go. We can still look at something. We can still go back to it. Or we can still do this. We might as well try. So many of these missions that have the, like... Oh, it took us back here because we started playing this again. Okay, never mind. This is what I get for not being organized. Okay, we'll go back to the main file. Oh, yeah, but, like, this is the problem that I was figuring we were going to face with, with a lot of the like main story missions is that there's like so many of these like really forced, like super massive time wasters. Yeah, who knows? By the time I would get to play around with it, you may have already found the answer. I'll keep it in the back of my mind, though, Tricky, if you're listening. If I do find I have some spare time, I might take a look at it. But if you have other more specific thoughts, like, hit them down in the comments. We can try and talk about it then. I guess while we have 9 minutes left, control room guy, if you're still here, if you are by chance the person who's lurking that's still around, would you be happy to sound off so we can like do some organizational talking? If not, if you were around on Monday, we can do that. We can do that too. Yeah. At least the DLC didn't overstay its welcome. I'm glad to be done with it. Yeah, so we're definitely done with the DLC for now. Because I bought the all-in. When DLC 2 comes out, we'll do that too. Hopefully it's better. But main time slot will return to W on Thursday. Tomorrow is still GC, as I promised. I wanted to have some like overlay done for this, but I will not in time. But I will have something different. We will have something slightly modified for the GC run we have been doing, which may require me to like pause stream for a little bit. But I mentioned a number of like logistics questions before, I think during the GC stream actually last week, before my break, or so 2 weeks ago. So if you want to like chime in on those, I want to be organizing them and like get some of the stuff done tomorrow. So join me for that if you'd like. I'm off this Friday, which I need to go change my, actually hold on, we'll do that right now before I forget. Just because of the beginning of the month and I need to do stuff for my other job. Your channel? Yeah. So no more Fantasy Maiden Wars next week. But then like I said, Thursday will be W again. And then a week from now, the following Sunday will be W. Barring DLC 2 coming out immediately, which would be weird. But that will be me. Like I said, I still haven't filmed oh, actually, okay. Like I said, I still haven't filmed Alpha, so I need to get that done. But that will be coming on Wednesday and Friday, too. Main playthrough. Let's do... I don't know how I'm going to template this on here. We'll do it like this. Super Wars. W. Break. Super Robot Wars. GC. Quote. I guess we'll... let's try the word grunts only and see if that sticks. I just like need to start using different nomenclature to see if that like makes me feel differently about it. And then we switch this to non-SRW game Fantasy Maiden Wars, which is technically not an SRW game. Okay. Channel updated. I just want to make sure I said I was off this Friday, because I know I messed somebody up with that last Friday. It was cruel of me to not use the system that I told you all to rely on. But I'm pretty beat. I know we're like not quite at 4 hours yet, but that was draining in how underwhelming it was. So I think we'll end up calling it just a wee bit early. Hopefully you all enjoyed. If anyone had thoughts about the DLC that were, you know, vastly different from my experience, I would love to hear them. Like if someone found a way to enjoy this, I don't want to steal that from you. I would like to hear your thoughts. I feel like we didn't get as thorough with the units as I would have liked to. But I think I at least made it clear the framework by which I would like to talk about these units, and like trying to use that framework to talk about all the other games too, like finding these really important critical breakpoints and making sure we're couching our conversation about characters or units or mechanics or whatever in that nomenclature, to make sure we're like talking about things on the same wavelength. So if you do have more thoughts, like please send me in the comments. Well, I'm happy to debate units more. Is there anything else? I think I like rambled through the rest of it. Yeah, and anything else we can like do on Monday. I just like want to make some more definitive calls to like at least get things moving. I like planning, but I like also having decisions and getting them finalized. Feels like it helps, but expect a couple of additive changes, not subtractive changes, I think, for the future, which will be good. I guess Y isn't fully going away, right? Because I've still got all these like exterior projects. Look forward to some of the SR point updates if y'all like those. I do plan to do something with that eventually, just like not right now. But like I said in the post, if y'all want to chime in with some ideas for SR points for those chapters, I would gladly welcome the collaboration. But I think that'll do things for me for today. I need to go take a nap before I do some more work. I hope you enjoyed my complaint session. Hopefully it wasn't too negative and didn't turn you away, but sometimes the product just ain't it. But that'll be it for me. I feel like I've ended like 6 times now, but thank you for watching. If I don't catch you in the live, I'll catch you in the VODs. Enjoy your evening, make me the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.